Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Travis and Sliwa has clearance right now.
Come on.
Yeah.
Roars. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. How we feeling over there, AK?
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah?
Feeling pretty good.
All right, listen,
Looking
it's Friday.
good too, man. Look at you over there.
Well, this is what I was going to get into. First off, there's nothing going on in local sports, so there's nothing to really even report today other than the 85 other things that are all breaking this morning. But, AK, got to tell you something that I really respect about you. You know, you keep telling me we're doing our prep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And behind me, there's about 3-4 TVs in here. Behind me, Spectrum is on. Spectrum Sportsnet carries all the Laker games. But on off days, it also brings people in to talk Lakers basketball. Last night...
Yeah, Access Lakers is the name of the
Access
program.
Lakers. There you go. Access Lakers. Last night, AK, you were on Access Sportsnet LA doing the Lakers stuff. And you keep telling me, Al, can we turn the volume up? I mean, Al, take a listen to this. Take a listen to my point that I made real quick. I'm like, AK, we're trying to do a radio show here, but the fact that you have it on in the background and it just continues to play, I kind of respect that. I got to be honest.
Here's the thing, Alan. The great ones always watch tape. They look back at the things that they could improve upon. Like, they're never satisfied with their performances. Like, this is, I covered Kobe for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I know that he was a film junkie. I know from now covering LeBron that he's a details guy. Mm-hmm. This is what the great ones do. The great ones are also vain enough to just want to see themselves on that screen all day.
Yeah, but you stopped Emily in the middle of us prepping and said, Em, not right now. I have a really good point coming up. And you just turned the volume up.
He's like, you should write it down. We're going to talk about the show today.
Look, Emily could learn a thing or two from the points that I'm making and from just, the eye candy. Look good. It's a good-looking man up there.
That might be my favorite line.
Right now, it's Osteria is another good eye candy up there. Taylor would think so.
He turned all the TVs. There's the TVs that we have in the bullpen. He turned them all here. All these small. He went to the sales side. Sales side's got a couple TVs. Like, guys, stop with this whole ESPN stuff. Let me throw on a little bit.
I actually
of
brought in like a 600-inch television just for this
video wall.
Yeah, I'm gonna lug it back out.
Projector.
I'm gonna lug it back out to my car in the parking garage.
Yep.
Once we're done.
Do we have a blank VHS tape that I could roll on over here so I can just do that real quick?
Record it. Get everything.
Yeah, you
in
look
there.
out through the window. You see the screens outside. Look, he's on there.
Outside of the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, what's the plan this weekend? What do you got going? What does everybody got going on this weekend? There's breaking news. We're going to get into the Chargers in just a second here, but what's the plan this weekend? What do you got going on?
Brian and his wife are having a holiday party that I'm going to be at on Sunday.
Okay.
I might be going to a holiday party, although there are actually, I think, some Hollywoody types there on Saturday.
And the last few years, I think the Lakers have been looking for signs of it being really a clean torch passing from LeBron to AD.
I go back
How much real estate are you taking up? Because you got TV covered, you got radio covered. That's pretty good.
Look, I go back and I watch the tape and I make sure that what I put out there worked. And I got to tell you, Alan, it always works. It always looks really, really good. But Saturday...
Are you a holiday party kind of guy?
I don't ever want to host one.
Yeah.
I'll go to another one. I don't ever want people invading my home.
Do you dress up? Do you wear red and green?
No.
Like classic stuff?
No, this is where you can play the Jewish card and get out of all that. I don't want to culturally appropriate anybody. I don't want to take anybody's culture. I'm just going to dress like a normal person. I don't want to overstep my boundaries.
Not even like a little red or green or anything?
I don't own a ton of red or green that way.
Festive on that stuff either.
No, but again, like you when you don't do it, look like you're not participating. I look like somebody who just isn't going to overstep my boundaries and appropriate culture.
It's a good card to bring into play.
Yeah.
It's a big card to bring into play. Yeah. And what's the plan this weekend? What do you got going on?
I don't know.
Yeah?
I have nothing going on this weekend. I think it's the
That's
weekend that I'm going to do nothing, and that's going to be great.
Tomorrow you got 3 NFL games.
Yeah, I'm just going to watch some TV, probably do some laundry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like a really amazing weekend as a 27-year-old.
Jorge, anything going on?
No, At my house, they're under the weather, kind of. They're kind of getting there, so I'm trying to avoid them, at that same time. So we're going to stay indoors, I think.
Trav's got the day off today. No voice issues. Trav's just got the day off. Apparently, I didn't get a chance to see it yesterday, but what we recorded for Amazon that they were going to air before the Chargers and the Raiders, Trav got 2.5 seconds of airtime. I got 0 seconds of airtime, so that went perfectly as planned. So that was good to see. And then the game actually started. So the breaking news today is, I think, the worst kept secret in sports. And I got to be honest, and it's not as relevant now because Brandon Staley has been fired, so it's not as relevant. By the way, breaking news on 710 ESPN is always presented by Valvoline Instant Oil Change, SoCalOilChange.com. It's not as relevant now, but I actually really, really, really felt sympathy towards Brandon Staley yesterday. They're down. They lose 63-21. You can't make these numbers up.
They were down 42-0 at the half.
42-0 at halftime, and I'm just kind of looking at this. I'm like, damn, that's kind of jacked up that he still has a job and still has to. And I think, look.
Do you want to hear what he had to say at halftime? I just thought it was kind of funny. I brought it in.
Before you play it, I just say this, that there's certain times where the only conversation you've heard around Brandon Staley over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, you even heard it after they lost to the Jaguars in the playoff game. Hey, is this guy good enough to be coaching in the NFL? The only storylines you've heard is this guy going to get canned, and when is he going to get canned? Yesterday on national television, there's only one game. It wasn't like this was, hey, they lost 27-24. It's not like the Raiders are known for scoring because the game before they had 0 points. They put up 63 points on the Chargers, and in the postgame, I'm like, I kind of feel for this guy that he still has a job to have to answer all these questions and play what he had at halftime.
The performance of your team in the first half.
This wasn't good enough. That wasn't us out there. Did not come ready to play. Second half we got to fight for pride. But it's a good group. We got to regroup at halftime. Come out and try to play a better second half.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate the fact that he even stopped by for that interview. A lot of guys would.
I would have ran right by. I'm good, guys. I'm good.
What was interesting in what he said there was, we got to play for pride. That is him acknowledging there is no way in hell we're going to win this game.
42-0.
Like that's done. Like he did not even attempt. Like he didn't come out and say it. But that's what you mean by playing for pride. You're not actually playing for the chance at winning. Like he's acknowledging there, we are not going to answer back and score 42 points and tie this thing up. So, I mean, it's funny when you mention like the idea of feeling bad for him being in that position. Like sometimes things become so untenable that a guy needs to be fired, and you're waiting for it to happen just for the franchise to be able to move forward. Like I remember when Luke Walton was the coach of the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Down the stretch of his final season, you knew that he was going to be fired at the end of that year. And so many other just bonkers things happened, like, Magic's resignation and calling Rob Pelinka a snake and the coaching search that was just a sideshow.
A lot going on.
There was a lot
going on in that
lot
little
happening.
situation.
But Magic had made it very clear at the time when he was running basketball ops that he did not believe in Luke Walton. Mm-hmm. And remember he had come out very early in that season saying in so many words that Luke was coaching for his job. Like this was very early in the year where you're like, whoa. It came a point where no matter how good of a coach you think Luke is, how bad of a coach, whatever, you can't function in that situation when you know the players don't believe in you and you don't have organizational buy-in.
Or the front office doesn't believe in
you.
You.
You can't get the best out of a team as a coach, regardless of your own limitations. Like Brandon Staley, I think it's going to take a while for him to get another head coaching job if he ever does at all, because I think there was a lot that seems exposed about Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
He had been a hot hire when the Chargers brought him in. Clearly it didn't work out. But the last few weeks of that time, I don't think he could have won regardless of how good you think he is or isn't. Because it's very clear, like, this has to end. Mm-hmm. He clearly lost buy-in from players. That game yesterday, even acknowledging who they were missing, the Chargers looked uninterested in playing it.
That's AK. That's the biggest thing is, and there's a statement from the Chargers owner Dean Spanos. By the way, Tom Telesco is also out. They have not yet announced who their interim head coach will be, but that's going to come shortly. I think what you said there at the end, if you got guys that are playing for, you could not be a good head coach, but there is a little bit of that. Are these players who represent the head coach, are they playing for him? And that can sometimes buy you some time.
Look, I'll give you the inverse. There are a lot of Laker fans, because I'm sure you hear from them. I know I hear from them, particularly in the comments section of the Locked On YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
It's 5 days a week, anywhere you get your podcast.
Yes,
there is
sir.
also, as I just mentioned, a YouTube component. Laker fans they're not high on Darvin as an X's and O's coach. Like, they just aren't. But you can't deny that Darvin has the buy-in. Like,
100%.
that is the one thing that is 100% crystal clear about Darvin Ham as a coach. He has his players buy-in, regardless of what
Playing
you think
hard for him.
Yeah,
Period.
regardless of what you think are his limitations as a coach
Yep.
or shortcomings. Staley clearly lost that buy-in.
So, and that's where I was going with this. It reaches a point, and listen, the guy should have been fired a long time ago. The only surprise I have about Brandon Staley getting fired this morning was it took a long time to get to that conclusion. I think most football fans would agree the same thing. Go watch any of these local radio shows or these national platforms, former players, former coaches. How's this guy still coaching? So that part wasn't the surprise. When you get embarrassed like that, and by the way, the week before, they're playing at home. They lose to the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. This is not all on Brandon Staley. This, of course, this is more on Dean Spanos than it is on Brandon Staley, because you could have got Sean Payton, who now has got the Denver Broncos potentially in a playoff spot. But that game reached one of those, the players don't give a flying you-know-what anymore. They are not. If Dean Spanos' goal was, let me just get through the end of the year, we could see the finish line. The finish line's coming. There are certain moments in sports where you literally have no other choice but to say, I got to end it. Last night was one of those examples. I want to read what Dean Spanos, he put out a statement here. He says, I want to thank Tom and Brandon for their hard work, dedication, and professionalism, and wish both of them and their great families nothing but the best. I'm going to skip down a little bit. He says, our fans have stood strong through so many ups and downs and close games. They deserve more. Frankly, they've earned more. Building and maintaining a championship caliber program remains our ultimate goal, and reimagining how we achieve that goal begins today. So that's the owner and chairman, Dean Spanos.
Is that enough to get you back on board as a Charger fan? Are you going back? Are you coming home again?
Yeah, that ain't happening. I will say this. Let's do this when we come back, because I think there's a little bit. And if you're a Charger fan out there and you want to give your opinion, 877-710-3776, 877-710-3776. Whatever Dean says, and I could tell you as somebody that used to root for the Chargers, means literally nothing. You either take action and you do something and you go hire the right coach, or you just do what he's done basically for the entire time that he's been the owner of the Chargers. And it hasn't been this bad all the time, but they got an incredible amount of talent. They got a lot of guys. There were actually expectations. I mean, it's kind of ironic that the Rams had no expectations. Here they are fighting for a playoff spot. The Chargers had expectations and are almost mathematically eliminated. They're gone. They're not going to go anywhere. We'll spend some time talking about what the Chargers do from here and how the Raiders broke almost every record that they've ever had offensively. Do all that coming up next. Stay right here. This is the Travis and Sliwa Show. AK in the house, 710 ESPN.
Hey guys, it's producer Lindsay Baseball, and guess what? Thursday Night Football has a brand new home, and it's the 909 Sports Bar at Yamamoto Resort and Casino. Join me and the 710 Fun and Games Department every Thursday night for a party. I will be giving away $1,000 cash every Thursday night. So this Thursday from 4 to 7 at the 909 Sports Bar, win cash and watch football with me, producer Lindsay Baseball. Or maybe they should call me Lindsay Football. See you there.
All right.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets?
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
Trav out today, back on Monday. Andy Kamenetsky in the house. Lakers, by the way, got a game a little bit later today. Second game against the San Antonio Spurs. We got a lot to get into. A lot of Dodger stuff going on as well. Obviously, Ohtani had his presser yesterday. But the big news this morning is the Chargers. We were saying this of what do the Chargers do next. It's funny, AK. I think about the competition in LA just to get attention in Los Angeles. Like, forget this market, I don't know if there's ever been a time where there's this much going on.
You know what? It just dawned on me when you're talking about, obviously everything with the Lakers. The Clippers are all of a sudden playing much better after the very...
And they have good players.
Right.
And they're about to move into their own stadium. And Ballmer has more money than any other owner.
But I'm just saying, in terms of what's happening right now, the Lakers coming off the IST championship, playing very well at the moment. The Clippers starting to look like they could be a formidable team.
Hanging a banner.
Hanging a banner. As, by the way, I told you all they would. I told you all they were hanging a banner. Yeah. Like, this was obvious.
Well, and your main point was it legitimizes it for the NBA.
Yes. Like, the NBA in a lot of ways got very lucky that the Lakers won this thing, because they're one of the few organizations where if you hang that banner, it doesn't become the joke that writes itself for people who want to detract from it. Because even though, like...
It makes it okay for everybody else.
Right. I mean, look, I get it. Like, I don't
agree with it, but it is.
I agree with it from a branding, and if you're going to do this thing, you need to treat it like it's a thing that matters. Like, you can't look at it purely through the Lakers' exceptionalism prism. This is a league thing. The Lakers are part of a league. If they're not going to hang that banner, they should just not participate in the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be part of a league, you're going to be part of a league. And it is a championship tournament. Like, if the league pressured them to hang up like an IST runner-up banner, that would be a bridge too far. But anyway, like, you've got this stuff with the Lakers, the Clippers, Rams fighting for a playoff spot.
Rams legitimately in a spot where they played in January.
Dodgers signing Ohtani. There's like a 2-hour line to get in as a media member just to go to this press conference.
Yep.
It's actually the perfect time to fire Brandon Staley, because there's a lot of noise to compete with right now.
Yeah.
You can hopefully just quietly fire the coach.
And you have 10 days to prepare for the next game. And
Yes.
you also already have kind of like a, go-to probably interim and Kellen Moore. So,
But, we were talking before, like the why now, like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I'm sure to some degree it has to do with a team putting up 63 points.
That probably has a little bit.
But this is actually the perfect time for them to fire Staley because there's so much other noise. They can get swallowed up a little bit by it.
Okay, so speaking of last night, so the Raiders scored a franchise record 63 points.
Mm-hmm.
This was 4 days after being shut out 3-0 to the Vikings. That's such a
hockey score.
That's
It's
such
ridiculous.
a good, genuine laugh because it is funny, right? Like, and shout out to Kirk Morrison is saying, well, Raiders are averaging technically around 31.5 in their last 2 games. It's the second most points in NFL history by a team that was shut out in the previous game. I mean, you just keep going. 63 points were the third most scored in the Super Bowl era. Raiders saw 8 different players score a touchdown on Thursday, which tied for the second most touchdown scores in a game in NFL history, most since 1950. I mean, there's whether it was, hey, this is the perfect timing or not, they also literally had no choice but to wake up this morning and say, hey, Staley's out, right? Let's move past this because it's the story this morning, and it won't be much of a story by the time we get to the weekend. It is what it is. They'll move on. The question I think that it comes down to, if you're the Chargers, and if you want the attention like we're talking about, you're fighting so hard to just try to get – you're already in a market that has so many other things going on. You're already in a market where there's a huge contingent of Raider fans. There's a Rams fan base that's only growing and has a product that you can respect.
USC football is essentially like another NFL team in this town.
Another NFL team that's about to start playing Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State, everything that kind of comes along with that. You got all these other factors playing against you. So the only way you can really compete is start making smarter business moves when it comes to your football product. Travis and I were talking a little bit about this yesterday. They're at an interesting point because if they make the wrong move from this point moving forward, now you're talking about a Justin Herbert that could be 28-29 by the time this next coach is gone. Just say somebody's coaching for 3-4 years or whatever it is.
It won't take that long.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it won't take that long.
He'll be out well before then.
Based upon how they have been doing things. They had a team this year where, look, they had talent. Talent wasn't the issue. Expectations wasn't the issue. I don't know what they do from here, but I believe the simple thing to do is you do got to go make a splash, and you do have to go out there and try to bring in a coach that you genuinely believe is going to improve your product. And I know the name keeps coming up, and he's coaching somewhere else right now, so there's no point of really putting too much effort into it. But I have no confidence that Dean Spanos will do the right thing for the Los Angeles Chargers because he doesn't have a history of doing the right thing.
Well, here's something I think is really important in terms of, because you mentioned you need to make a big splash with this next coach, and the splash needs to be hiring the right guy. What they can't do is try to win the press conference. If you try to make a splashy hire where you win the press conference, you may very well be setting yourself up for failure. Like, there are plenty of examples of teams, we have a lot of Raider fans listening right now. I'm sure most of them can remember when the Raiders, quote unquote, won the press conference.
Yeah.
By when they brought in, blanking on his name right now, Gruden. When they brought in John Gruden, that was a classic win the press conference move.
Yep.
And you know what? It was a disaster.
Can I ask you a question? Would Sean Payton have been the right, not only we won the headlines, but it's also the right coach?
It's looking that, I'll say this.
Yeah, look at Denver.
He's doing way more with Denver than I thought.
But that's my point, too. My point is that I'm not saying go win one day. I'm saying you could accomplish both. And,
sure.
And as much as I think there is the one thing that the Chargers do have in their favor, you are in L.A. And there is an allure because you are in L.A. You are playing at SoFi. Granted, it's not your stadium. Okay,
you're going to have primetime games. You're going to have people come.
There's going to be a tension that goes towards your franchise, but then you also need an owner that says, all I want to do is win. That's my most important priority. And I have a difficult time thinking that that is his top priority.
Well, I mean, with Spanos, obviously there's been a lot of questions about his willingness to spend to win, like that
Sean
sort of
Payton's
thing,
not
like that
here.
commitment. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the question of do you have a front office and an ownership that literally understands the best way to go about winning, even if they were committed? You know what I mean? Like the greatest commitment in the world doesn't mean anything.
It's going to be successful.
If you don't actually know how to identify the right people and how to identify talent, how to foster that sort of culture, like it doesn't, like we've seen before owners in the past, you know, the Raiders, just mentioned them with Gruden. It was a terrible move that at the time I was like, what are you guys doing? But you clearly could not accuse them of an unwillingness to spend. Like, you know, they put out a massive $100 million contract for Gruden, and it blew up disastrously. So there's a commitment issue with the Spanos family and ownership, but there's also that question of just,
do they know what the hell they're doing?
Does anybody in that building really know how to build a winning product?
Yeah, and by the way, that also goes to you don't have to be. They don't need to know how to do that, but they could put somebody who knows how to do that in there and get the hell out of the way.
We're not that far removed with the Rams, with people questioning Kroenke's commitment or how, you know, not even necessarily the Rams, but his commitment to ownership in general. You know, like the way he torched his way out of St. Louis. And, you know, the Nuggets for a long time hadn't been, I believe, like a tax-paying team. And, you know, they'd been a good but not great franchise.
Sure.
Fast forward a few years, Stan Kroenke is like the most successful owner in sports over the last couple of years. How much of that is commitment on his part versus being able to identify really good people and then staying out of their way because he doesn't want to be involved? This stuff shifts really quickly.
The Kroenke thing is that usually is any really good leader, CEO, I got to hire the best people to run that job.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm going to ultimately make the final decision or whatever. But I also stay out of the way because I know that's why I hired that person. He's supposed to be an expert at that field. So we'll see what the Chargers end up doing. But for those who are just tuning in right now, the worst kept secret, Brandon Staley, Tom Telesco, both fired from the Los Angeles Chargers. Okay, Lakers got second game coming up here against Wembanyama tonight. So taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Are people too harsh on Anthony Davis, or is the criticism that comes his way, is it fair? I think when things are going bad, the noise is very loud. When things are going good, things are pretty quiet. We'll talk about AD coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, AK in the house, 710 ESPN.
Elevate your game at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Sunday for their live Rams postgame show from the Rays Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and interact with Travis and Kirk. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Reminder, party, oh party, Sunday after the game. Come see Travis and Kirk and enjoy a postgame meal and drink at the Rays Lounge right after Rams football is done. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
It's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets? Yes. We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better. Yeah. Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
It's your song.
Slow motion for me. Slow motion. I have no idea what this is. Not a clue.
That was awesome.
I like it like no. Come on.
Not a clue. No idea what this is.
Juvenile. Slow
Is
motion.
Juvenile?
Okay, so we were talking about
That Juvenile? Same Juvenile?
Same
Super
Juvenile. You ever watch any of the Tiny Desk, right? That's what it's called,
Yeah,
on
from
NPR?
NPR.
I've seen it before. I don't
Okay.
watch it regularly.
So Emma was talking about it yesterday. Juvenile was on.
Oh, really?
And
It's
she
actually
said it
back
was-
in April. I was just on a deep dive on Tiny Desks, and he has, I think, by far the best.
But
Tiny
you said,
Desk.
yeah, it was great. It was so. Jorge just walked in here, and this is kind of what happens to all of us. There's plenty of times where you get into start watching something on YouTube, or you start watching something TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, and the next thing you know, 9 hours have gone by, and your girl has left you. Okay, so. You said that you woke up in the middle of the night.
I woke up in the middle of the night, go to the restroom, whatever, and then I
Yep.
come back. Well, I didn't go back. I went and got a glass of water, and then I'm like, you know what? I can't go back to bed for whatever reason.
I'm gonna get on my phone.
Yeah. So I get on my phone, I sit on the couch, and I'm just scrolling through stuff, and then I come across these guys who made an octagon, and UFC style. They start swinging bottles from one end, from different ends to see what liquor bottle is the
these
strongest.
are liquor
Oh, yeah, I've
bottles.
seen that.
So they have
on basically on like a string.
Yep. And then they swing them, and then when they clash with each other, they crash. You see which one survives the impact, and then they make a championship bracket out of it, and then it's like Jack Daniels
This is
versus
genius.
Jameson.
Probably got freaking hundreds of thousands.
Honestly,
of views, too.
I've seen people do it with like 2 toilets also
That's what
swinging.
I'm saying.
It's honestly just a physics problem. Yeah, but like these 2 toilets, they bang together and see which one gets destroyed first.
I'm
It's
seeing. It's like
It's fascinating,
It's
man,
a
in the middle of the
legitimate bracket too. Like Captain Morgan is on one side, Tito's vodka is on
Jameson
the
is
other,
on the other.
Jameson's on
Yeah.
the other. Okay, so you asked us which bottle that we thought
Yeah, do you guys think it's the strongest out of the bracket?
got
then?
to the finals.
Okay, preface this by saying I have not watched it, so therefore I don't know if they used this bottle to begin with. My guess is going to be Absolute, the vodka, because it's stubbier than skinny, which I think gives it some reinforcement. And as somebody who used to bartend
Drop
and have
plenty
to,
of these.
it's a thick bottle, like it's very thick glass. So I'm going Absolute.
Nah, Absolute, not one of those.
Did they use
I'd
it?
be surprised. I don't think.
I don't think they used
I
it
don't
in
think they
there.
used
I
that
thought I was telling him immediately. I was like, "Oh, probably Patron because it's a smaller
Square.
bottle." Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, this thing's. But I don't think they used
didn't
it
use
there
it either.
too. Who ended up winning?
Jameson, the green bottle.
Jameson ended up
Jameson
winning.
Ended up winning the thing.
All right.
It's interesting, man. It's just I don't know. I just got caught in
But
this.
here's what's funny.
and I wanted to find more.
It's not even that, like, this is freaking today. You could so easily get caught up in something where if anybody looks at your phone, they're going to say, "What the hell are you watching?" And my response would be, "I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm watching."
There's a very stupid TikTok thing that always just scratches my brain in the right way, and I watch all these videos. So it's this, I think it's an Italian person in the courtyard of their apartment.
Okay.
And they just roll down all different kinds of jars and see how they break. And so it'll be like, oh, one jar survives
I've
this
seen
entire
this.
fall, or like one jar survives only one fall. And I can't imagine being in this apartment complex and having just broken glass all the time. And it's also like sometimes it's olives, sometimes it's I don't know, pickles.
It sounds stupid. Please send it to me.
It's so good.
I will watch it. I will watch it for an hour, 2 hours.
And it's funny too because on TikTok there's this thing where you can do like a side by side, so you can have someone like talking about the video that's happening. So people will like commentate
and
these videos.
that's the
It's
video
great.
he sent. It's
Have
the
you
same
guys-
thing. It's
have
like
you guys seen
literally
the-
like broadcasters?
Have you guys seen the Marvel race? It's like a
Yeah,
bunch
I've
of
seen the Marvel
Marvels,
race,
and then
yeah.
they make a track, dude.
That's stressful.
That is
that
stressful.
one. I'm like
'Cause
watching
you,
it.
You root for the red one, and then the blue one takes over.
Whichever
and you-
one's going, one gets stopped at a certain point of the track.
That's right.
Are you a? I think you are. You're a Curb fan, right?
I like Curb.
Okay.
I think though the plots get really repetitive.
Okay.
Like after a while, I'm like, I feel like I've seen one Curb. I've seen literally every single
Larry
episode.
gets into a situation.
Right.
and
Larry
he
says the wrong
yeah.
thing. He acts unusually selfish.
People get mad.
Right. It can be funny, but I can understand why this is the last season. I feel like they've run out of things.
It's kind of a better like week by week viewing than a binge because again, in the binge you get the repetitive
A lot of the
nature.
same stuff. Would you have my back in this one? I'm trying to sell Jorge like it's a timeshare, and I just want him to come to the meeting. I told him on YouTube, this is a perfect example. He got caught up in this for an hour, and he sent it to me, right? I'll watch it. I told him, type in on YouTube, Best of Leon. Is it fair to say a Best of Leon compilation of like 10 minutes he would find very, very entertaining?
I think you would. Leon's a pretty funny character. He's
all over the place.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's although it is possible that 5 minutes into the 10 minutes of Leon that Jorge could feel like I've gotten the point.
That's okay too. I'm okay with that. I just want him to see Leon the character.
Leon is a funny character. He's absolutely a funny character.
Yeah. I don't think
Jorge just said, "Who cares?"
No, he's not going to do it. I can promise you, he's not going to do it.
That's not going to happen. All right, Lakers got the Spurs a little bit later tonight. I didn't get a chance to do this with you, but I was kind of going out of my way yesterday with Trav. I'm sitting there, I'm like, bro, what the hell is this Wembanyama? Like, what is this guy? Listen, I'm not telling you it's perfect basketball. The guy's 19 years old. Still clearly does not understand his own body. Like, still trying to figure out. It's almost like those. It's almost like he's like looking at his hands. Like, I didn't know I could do this. Or it's like looking at the way his entire body. He's such a freak, and I say that in a positive way.
It's almost like this movie that I watched last night, which is about Emma Stone stars, and it's called Poor Things. This woman just rediscovers how to use her body. So it's just like Bella Baxter.
Okay, it's a little bit like that, but he also, at 19 years old, hit 4 of 5 threes against the Lakers, had 6 block shots and 3 steals. Does he have some turnovers? He did. He had 5 or 6 turnovers. Does he make mistakes? He absolutely does. Did he almost help the Spurs come back and win and was incredible in the fourth quarter? He was. What's your take? All the hype behind Wemby, and then here's where we are a couple months into the season.
It's funny. If you watch enough Laker broadcasts, the Spectrum Sportsnet broadcasts, or you've just been watching the Lakers forever, you know that one of Stu Lance's things is that players that he really finds special, he will refer to as that young man. Like Kobe used to get that young man like 2 or 3 times a game for like 20 years. LeBron's gotten that young man. Anthony Davis has gotten that young man. Wembanyama got that young man treatment during the game. Like you could see Stu is like, all right,
What's seeing this
guy
here?
I'm seeing this guy up close for the first time. I can see there's something special. Stu pointed this out early too, and then you saw it over the course of 4 quarters. In the beginning of the game, AD was abusing Wembanyama.
Yeah.
And Wembanyama was biting on up fakes. He was getting turned around on drives. Like
getting pushed around, too.
You could just see he wasn't familiar with AD, which makes sense. He's never played him before. And he's still learning the speed and the intricacies of NBA basketball.
And a specific individual skill set.
Yeah.
It's top 10 player in the league here.
Over the course, though, of 4 quarters, he grew more comfortable with the matchup, and his processing speed in terms of just figuring out information and how do I keep up with this matchup, it was really impressive. And I think the fourth quarter, Wembanyama was playing out of his mind. Like, he hit back-to-back threes. I think he will reach a point one day where he's a really good three-point shooter. He's not there yet. Like, he isn't. He's like a sub
20-something.
Yeah, he's sub 30%. But he was so in his bag in that fourth quarter. I think there was an element of like, whoa, from the Lakers. Like, it actually took them by surprise. Like, oh my Lord, he's doing all of this right now at once. He finished with 30 points, I think 6 blocks, 4 steals. Like, he was insane. He's also uniquely coordinated. Like, he puts the ball in the basket in these weird angles where it looks like he's double jointed in both arms. Like, it would be hard to be that coordinated when you're also that gangly.
Yeah. I kind of took away, and we can watch highlights of a player. I got a chance. I watched him when he went up against Chet when it was OKC, just because I wanted to see those two go up against Chet Holmgren. But this was the first time that I'm really, really paying attention to watching him because it's a Lakers game, and I think that adds a little bit to, the allure. I will say this, and I think the Anthony Davis piece of it, like you were saying, AD was dominating early on. AD in his last 3 games, he's got a 41, a 37, and a 37. okay? And this is not like, well, he's doing one thing. Now he's just focused on offense. He's not playing any defense. No, the defense is still there. He's still grabbing the rebounds and doing everything else. Do you know he's only missed one game this year? He's played 24 or 25 games. And at least I try to. I did this. We do Lakers Talk daily on YouTube every morning. And one of my videos today that if it hasn't gone out yet, it's going to go out here just shortly, was for all the chatter and the noise that comes with Anthony Davis when things aren't going right. And he, by the way, he has plenty of games like this where AD only took 9 shots, only took 10 shots. Nobody's even upset at him about, like, you want him to take 20 shots and go 4 for 20 and just have a bad game. You want him to get to the free throw line 10 times and say, how did AD only hit 5 free throws? But sometimes he has those games. At 11 o'clock, let's do this, because I know we got Ask AK coming up next. Is it fair? Are we giving him enough praise this year? He's available. That's always the biggest question. He's been available. Go look at his stats and his numbers. They're there. Go look at him over the stretch of these last couple of weeks. It's actually as impressive. Go look at the best defensive players in the NBA and tell me who's better than him. Maybe just Rudy Gobert, but it's going to be a very, very short list. Are we giving him enough credit? Let's do that when we come back. Stay right here. This is the Travis and Sliwa Show. AK in the house, 710 ESPN. Okay, so I've had a few months now to talk about Sierra Subaru Monrovia. It's actually one of the best partnerships that I've been associated with, because it's not just about selling cars. It's not just about talking about Subaru and the great product and the line that they have. It's a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is helping out within the local community. Sierra Subaru Monrovia is a part of the Subaru Share the Love, which is happening right now through January 2nd. After this 16th year of sharing the love, Subaru will have donated over $285 million to charity. Visit my good friends over at Sierra Subaru Monrovia, as they are proudly supporting Foothill Unity Center and the Pablo Foundation during the Subaru Share the Love event. Go to the website, get some more information, find ways to get involved. I was a part of their toy drive in November. Every single month, I try to be very active with them as well, because it goes to a good cause. Go to sierrasubaru.com for more information, or visit them just off the 210 and 605 freeway. That's sierrasubaru.com.
your funner state of mind with a visit to Harrah's Resort SoCal. Voted best resort in funner California. From dining to unwinding, you'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrahssocal.com. Let's get to it. Ask Slee right now.
All right, AK in the house filling in for Travis Rogers. T-Raj has the day off today. We're going to do a little bit different. Usually we do a Ask Slee on Fridays. This will be more of a combo, but kind of more of an Ask AK. Let's start with John in Huntington Beach of Fullerton. You're hosting a get-together at your place, and a friend brings something you don't normally drink. There's some leftover. So whatever it is, it could be a bottle, cans, a beer, whatever it is. Is it rude to have them take the rest of it home at the end of the night?
Yes, it is 100% rude for them to take it home. Do the right thing. Let them think you enjoyed it. And then once they're gone, do with it what you will. Either give it to somebody else, dump it, bite the bullet and drink it even though you hate it, whatever. But don't make the person feel bad about actually trying to do something nice for you, even though clearly they're not a good friend because they don't know you well enough to know what you like.
Okay, let me throw this in. What's the liquor that you just don't drink?
Gin.
You don't drink gin.
Don't bring me gin.
You hate gin. I come to your house. I don't know that you don't like gin.
Right.
I bring gin and I go, okay, hey, looking forward, we have a good time. I'm pouring myself some gin. Hey, AK, you want some? I hate gin, Al. So just keep that in mind for next time. If I know you hate gin, I can't ask at the end of the night, AK, since you hate gin, next time I come, I'm going to bring you something you like, but do you want me to take the gin home?
Well, if somebody asks me, do you want to take it home?
I wouldn't ask it.
Right,
but,
no, if someone asked,
saying,
I would say, yeah, sure. You know what, man? Nobody else really drank it. I'm not a big gin drinker. My wife isn't.
And
right.
you like gin, then drink it.
Right. I would just say, look, I don't drink a ton of gin. You will probably get more use from it.
Yeah.
You know, nobody else in the house drinks it. Like, at that point, you're not making...
Because this is gin.
At that point, you're not making it awkward for the other person.
Sure.
So, and especially, too, if they want to take it back, then hell yeah, get it out of my house.
I was going to say, well, my follow-up question, too, is, so if it's something you do like, and they ask, oh, hey, would you mind if I, took this home, or they just took it without asking, is that rude? So, they
That's
bring
definitely rude.
a bottle of vodka that was really nice, you really like it, have a good time, and then as they're leaving, they take the vodka with them. Is that rude?
But good, like pop-off.
Yeah.
Like the good.
Is it unopened at that point?
It would have been used a little bit. It made some drinks with it, cocktails with it, but then they decided to take the rest of it home.
That feels a little bit rude.
Yeah, you can't take it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It feels at that point like that person felt obligated to bring something but didn't really want to.
Yeah.
And now they see they're out.
That's like bringing a dessert and one slice is already taken out. Yeah, I had to have a slice at home, but I brought this.
I mean, again, if I say to the person, yeah, you can take it back. It's all good. I might try to find a way again to just get it out of my house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. If you see the person eyeing it the whole time, like maybe trying to push it to the side, get into their bag, yeah.
Whenever you bring something, you just assume you're not taking it home with you.
No,
I guess that's the best way to go about it.
Absolutely.
So this one's for Aaron Palmer. He says, will President Bobo lift the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 in order to improve relations with Cuba and stabilize the supply of bananas and plantains?
I mean, I have to imagine that President Bobo is a fan of bananas and plantains because who isn't other than Travis?
Yeah, Travis hates both.
It's actually good Travis isn't in right now because Travis has kind of glommed himself onto this project as a producer. Travis would be against this as a form of foreign policy. I would like to think that President Bobo would like to, under the right conditions, and I don't want to go too far down a geopolitical rabbit hole here, but
it's fine.
But
in a world in which a chimpanzee is president.
Listen, I've said this before, Republican or Democrat, call. Which side are you on?
I'd like to think that he would look to create good relationships around the world because ultimately that is what is best for the world.
Right, and
Biden
just in case
Trump, 877.
in case you didn't realize, this is about the commander and chimp that AK and Trav have been putting out there for a while.
Yes.
Or you got one there?
Yeah,
for,
I got one from Big E because the other one is old. It's an old one. So
okay.
Big E asks, tamales, do you what is your favorite tamal? He says, do you like the pork tamales, chicken tamales, or the ones with the peppers, the rajas?
Pork, for sure. Pork.
What do you put on your tamales?
Maybe a little bit of green salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't like to smother them. Like, I want to get the taste of the
Takes
innards.
too much. That's a good point.
I want to get the taste of the innards. I want to get a taste, particularly if it's really good, like masa making that tamale. Like, I want to taste that as well. I don't want to drown it. And I usually think, like, green salsa complements well as opposed to, like, creating a brand new flavor.
Yeah, green salsa is a perfect touch there.
Yep.
And pork has just the most complexity as a taste. Like, there's the most going on in those options.
You try the cheese ones; those are great. The chicken ones are great. My mom makes some mole ones. Oh, amazing!
I'm ready for those. If those come in, we'll all be ready. Okay.
Does she make them from scratch?
Yes, she does.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
That is a lot of work.
But man, they're delicious.
But she probably I know for same thing. And like my mom will make Middle Eastern dishes, and it's not. I don't know how it is for your mom, but it's like it's not a chore for them. They want to make it. They want to see the joy of everybody else eating it. That's something.
And they make a lot, so you take
them.
some home. That's why they make a lot, so that you can take some of that stuff home.
Follow-up question for you, Jorge. So are tamales a holiday staple because of tradition, or is it because they're in season? Why are tamales? I mean, they're eaten all year, but why are they specifically this time of year?
Because of tradition, and then also, like, why would you want to eat them in the summer? You feel me? Like, it's too hot to make anyway. Like, you're going to steam your whole house anyway, so might as well do it right now that it's kind of cold.
It's really funny.
I have clam chowder in July.
You do. Like, you're like, why wouldn't anybody have tamales in July?
They're discounted.
My wife is Mexican-American, and, like, early on I don't remember if we were still dating or marriage or whatever, but her mom brought in a bunch of tamales from, like, Texas. Like these are, like, old school, like, real deal tamales, which means they are terrible for you. Like, tamales done the right traditional way, they are not healthy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were for Christmas, after Christmas, though, pretty much everyone else had stopped eating them. And for whatever reason, we had not frozen them. And I felt bad about them possibly getting wasted. So I was eating like 3 or 4 tamales a day.
Yep.
And one day my wife saw me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just trying to finish out these tamales." She's like, "Oh my, you can't eat those every single day. Like, that will kill you. You cannot eat 3 or 4 tamales every single day."
You should have turned it back around to her and said, "Well, your mother,
your mother's trying to kill me.
She made this many.
She doesn't
of
like
them."
me, does she?
Okay, I'm gonna squeeze one more quick one here. The sports downloaded is who's coming from. What's your favorite color, favorite band, and favorite movie?
Purple, The Police, Goodfellas.
Yeah, good work right there. All right, that's AK right there. If you got any more Ask AKs, feel free to sprinkle them in. One quick note here, and this is kind of a follow-up what's happened here over the last hour with the Chargers. The Chargers are naming outside linebackers coach Giff Smith as their interim head coach to replace Brandon Staley.
Wait, what's his name?
Giff Smith. Giff.
Giff?
Giff.
Giff.
I don't know.
And JoJo Wooden as their interim GM, per sources. So that's what the Chargers are going to do for the remainder of the year. I
love Chargers football. Coach Giff, GM JoJo, in on this. This is the greatest era of Chargers football.
You can actually buy their jerseys right now at Chargers.com.
I might.
I
actually might.
Okay, want to finish a conversation that we were having just a little bit ago on Anthony Davis. Are we giving him enough credit? Plus, the Dodgers, Tyler Glasnow is now a Los Angeles Dodger, finalizing a 5-year, $135 million contract. The Dodgers clearly going all in. Is this a little bit odd for the Dodgers to be spending like they are? And what I'm talking about is at the age they've been so good with just cropping their own players. We'll get into that coming up next as well. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Elevate your game at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Sunday for their live Rams postgame show from the Rays Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and interact with Travis and Kirk. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Reminder, party, oh party, Sunday after the game. Come see Travis and Kirk and enjoy a postgame meal and drink at the Rays Lounge right after Rams football is done. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets? Yes. We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
All right, Lakers got a game at early start again, 4:30 tip-off. Lakers taking on the San Antonio Spurs. I love what you said about Wembanyama a little bit earlier, that I love the Stu Lance reference of calling him a young man. You know that he's got to be incredibly talented. I love what you were saying, too, about as the game kind of went on, it was, wait a minute, he's already making adjustments? Listen, there's so much hype behind Wemby that nothing to live up to that hype is really, truly not fair. I mean, he's the best player since LeBron. Do you remember the hype that was behind LeBron James? And oh, by the way, LeBron's still playing 21 years in and made it to 10 NBA finals. Like, can we relax on putting that type of pressure on a man? But
when I was doing a post game here for Lakers Spurs on Wednesday, I actually had a caller who was saying that Wembanyama at this point is all hype and empty stats because his team isn't winning. I'm like, thank you for the call, but shut up. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, listen, I mean, losing 18 in a row, that's not easy to do. Now, the Pistons would tell you, you got nothing on us.
You know, they play on January 10th.
Get out of here.
Like they're going
to get a win.
There's a non-0% chance both of those teams could be riding 20-something game losing streaks by the time that comes around.
What if it went to 4 overtimes? I would stop doing what I'm doing. Okay, let's use this as an example. If, let's say, one has lost 27 in a row, the other one's lost 25, you're going to tell me you don't want that game on NBA TV?
Okay,
how do I catch that game?
Here's what's great. Both of these teams could easily be playing. Both of those teams could easily be on 20-something-ish game losing streaks by January 10th.
We're going to start looking at some schedules here. I want to time this out here.
They also, though, play each other the last game of their season. The last game of Pistons-Spurs is against each other. So there's a real...
One could be on a 78-game losing streak. The other one could be on 80.
There's a real chance, though, that both of them, because we know they are both going to be in extreme tanking mode by then, there's a real chance they could be on another 20-ish game losing streak each that somebody has to snap, even though you know organizationally probably neither of them wants to snap it.
I found one that the Spurs can win, okay? So on any road game, I'm going to give the other team the advantage. So I'm just looking specifically at a home game. They got Utah December 26th at home. That might be the game where the San Antonio Spurs... Because after that, the only other one that they have that's in question is at Memphis, but Ja Morant's going to be playing. They're probably losing all the other games. All right, let's look at the Pistons here real quick. This has become very interesting. Oh, here we go, Pistons. They got a home game against Utah, too. Basically, Utah, it's coming down to Utah. It's coming down to the Utah Jazz. If the Jazz can just hold court when they play the Spurs and the Pistons, we might have that showdown that everyone's looking for on January 10th. Those are I genuinely think those are the only games that either one of those teams have to win. Don't disappoint us, Utah.
They got it.
Put that game on NBA TV. If we get that far, I want that game. ABC should pick it up. TNT and ESPN should do a merge broadcast again. They did it for the in-season tournament, and then they did it for when San Antonio played the Pistons.
This is like the inverse season tournament, just like the absolute worst two teams. Let's blow this thing out.
You're around and are interacting with Laker fans literally as much as anybody else who covers basketball or covers the team.
Mm-hmm.
You think AD is getting enough credit for what he's doing right now, or fair credit, or more credit than he deserves? AD, just to kind of set this up, has played 24-25 games for the Lakers this year. He's being talked about as the best defense. He's going to be one of the finalists if things just keep going as best defensive player of the year. And I'm not telling you he's going to win it. He's going to be favored. I'm just saying that there aren't too many names you're going to name.
He is currently right now, at least at the betting odds sites that I've seen, he is currently
second.
Yeah, the only one I've seen ahead of him is Rudy Gobert, and AD has been progressively climbing up those rankings. Or the betting odds. He's been increasingly more of a betting favorite.
Okay, on top of that, and I know you just can't put all this on a couple games or anything like that, but Anthony Davis's stats, just what he's doing on a night-in, night-out basis, AK, his last couple of games, and even though the NBA wants to pretend like the Pacers game didn't exist, I'm going to include it in his stats. He's 41-20 with 4 blocks against the Pacers. He's 37-11, 2 blocks against the Mavs. He's 37-10 with 4 steals against the Spurs. Is he getting enough credit for what he's doing right now?
No, I don't think he is. If you look around the league right now, I would challenge anybody who can say this player definitively does more on both ends of the ball, like both ends of the court, both sides of the ball. Like, who does definitively more? Who has definitively more on their plate than Anthony Davis? Like, there's Giannis does a lot on both sides of the ball, but he's got Dame and Brook Lopez, as the back line.
And Middleton, who can go get you buckets
Middleton has not been great so far this year. Health has really become a thing for Middleton.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's still on a minutes restriction or anything like that, but he has not been great. You could maybe make an argument for Giannis. Defensively, Embiid has a lot on his plate, but he's also got Tyrese Maxey, who's playing at like an all-star caliber level, particularly as a scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jimmy Butler and Bam both do a lot on both sides of the ball, but they both have each other doing a lot on both sides of the ball. And yes, AD obviously has LeBron, but LeBron picks his spots defensively or is put in a structure now, especially with all these wings the Lakers have, where he can pick and conserve his energy. But that is really made possible in a lot of ways by what AD does, and AD's still averaging like 24 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody in the league has a heavier lift game to game than AD.
So I'll list them for you because I think the Giannis comp is good comp. The Embiid comp, great comp. Maybe you could throw Jimmy Butler into that mix, one of those type of players. Kawhi, I don't think you could throw on that list anymore because Kawhi
has way too much infrastructure on him now.
Plenty of help. So then it comes down to, all right, well, if Anthony Davis is in that little conversation right there, the only time, and I get it, listen, when we get frustrated at Anthony Davis, a lot of times for me it has less to do with Anthony Davis had a bad night. When I get frustrated with Anthony Davis is, AD, we didn't see you. We didn't feel you. We didn't feel your presence. How'd you only take 9 shots? How's that possible? How'd you only get to the free throw line 2 or 3 times? How's that possible? That's the only time where, for me, it's frustrating with Anthony Davis. But for all the times that I think we listen to how frustrated people are at Anthony Davis or his lack of availability or Anthony Davis is on the ground, oh my gosh, is he injured? He's at a stretch right now, and I think what he's done so far this year, there can't be that much complaining about Anthony Davis. And I get it. I understand. This is just kind of how life works. If you go to a bad restaurant, you tell 10 people it was a bad restaurant. If you go to a good restaurant, maybe you tell 1 or 2 people. So I understand that it's not always apples to apples, but I feel like there are times that you should be giving this man his flowers. I think right now is a good time to give it to him.
I think with AD, a lot of fans have a difficult time with the full buy-in because they just feel like there's an injury
they're waiting
to happen, or a stretch where AD doesn't seem assertive enough, waiting to happen. I think some of it has to do with it is generally hard to be the second guy on the Lakers, like the number 2 on the Lakers. You know, Powell went through a ton of scrutiny
he did.
as that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Before Powell, it was Lamar Odom, and Lamar, as it turned out, really wasn't meant to be in that role. And once he became like the 3rd or 4th option for the Lakers, he was amazing and a crucial
Even
part
Kobe
of winning a
Shaq,
championship.
Right? Like there's always a ton of criticism that comes.
Great example. Kobe, for a lot of people, and I want to make it clear, this was ridiculous and stupid, but for a lot of people, Kobe had to win his 4th championship to win a first. You know what I mean? Like in terms of proving his worthiness as a championship elite caliber Laker, he had to win
without Shaq.
Which,
by the way, I think Kobe, in his own mind, he knew what he was, but he was always like, let me shut everybody else up.
Kobe wanted to prove this. This was something Kobe, he outwardly wanted to prove it.
Yeah.
But the idea that he was riding Shaq's coattails and that Shaq could have done this
with anybody.
There are other guys that you could say Shaq could have maybe won 1 in a row or won maybe 2 in a row. I don't think there was anybody else in the league at the time other than Tim Duncan that you could definitively say sub in that guy, they three-peat. Kobe was it. I don't think there was anybody else. But for a lot of people, he still had to win his 4th to win his 1st. It's tough being the second guy with this franchise.
Yeah, and the only reason why I bring that up is we kind of tie in Anthony Davis. And listen, I think there's probably Laker fans out there saying to themselves, yeah, but if Anthony Davis comes out tonight and gives one of those performances, it's not going to be a surprise or a shock. People are going to say, here we go again, right? Like there's always, I think that's what you're referring to, there's always that, well, is it going to happen again? When is AD going to have a slow night? If AD turns an ankle, well, let me give you an example of what he did last game. 30 seconds into the game, a minute into the game, AD turns his ankle, pops right back up and gets to work. Now, listen, he was limping around a little bit. Obviously, in a game where LeBron's not playing as well, now there's even more that's got to go on his shoulders. Okay. The Spurs are not a good team, so I'm not trying to make it sound like they beat the Nuggets or they beat one of the elite teams in the NBA. But, again, I go back to it. I feel like there's times when everyone wants to jump on Anthony Davis, and then there's times where we should be giving him more praise and credit, and it's not nearly as loud.
Okay, here's an example in terms of dealing with injuries. Last year when AD came back after that stress fracture
with Denver.
The stress reaction in
Denver.
his foot. Comes back. They make this run where they get themselves into the play-in without LeBron for a big chunk of it, and AD is carrying the team at that point.
Yeah.
There's still people complaining about him not playing the second end of back-to-backs, even though it was very clear he was not physically ready to do that.
And literally, the medical staff was like, look, this is
Right.
how it's
Which
going to get laid
the
out.
The Lakers needed to be more clear about that
I
from the
agree with you.
beginning because I think they did AD no favors with that. But in the meantime, he was playing incredible, like carrying the team through this really uphill lift. And he still just doesn't have that full buy-in. I get it at times, but I think people look for the negative with Anthony Davis just a lot. I just think they do.
All right, Tyler Glasnow is now a Los Angeles Dodger. He's finalizing a 5-year, $135 million contract, sources tell ESPN. Once the deal is complete, Manuel Margot is a part of that deal from the Rays as well. The Dodgers will send out Ryan Pepio and Johnny DeLuca once it's all official. And I want to spend some time talking about this because Shohei Otani yesterday was introduced at Dodger Stadium. There is a kind of an interesting predicament situation because Shohei Otani has basically said you don't have to pay me for 10 years. There's a pressure is not the right way to put it, but there's an expectation. Go improve the roster right now. And the Dodgers are obviously in the middle of doing that. We'll talk about that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, AK in the house, 710 ESPN.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets? Yes. We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
Elevate your game at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Sunday for their live Rams postgame show from the Rays Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and interact with Travis and Kirk. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Reminder, party, oh party, Sunday after the game. Come see Travis and Kirk and enjoy a postgame meal and drink at the Rays Lounge right after Rams football is done. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
Holiday party, huh? Tomorrow's a holiday party?
Tomorrow's a potential holiday party,
Potential,
although I have a lot of work to do that's come up that might lead me to missing the party. Sunday, I can't get out of. I mean, that's a family holiday party.
Yeah.
I can't get out of that.
You don't say, like, look, hon, why don't you go out there with the kids, It's a dive bar that I got to get to.
Look, I like to do my work from a dive bar.
I got Ravens +6 on this game coming up.
Do you celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah with your kids, or do you raise them with both? Okay, so how do you kind of approach that during the season? I don't know. I was raised in a Christian family, so I'm just curious how you go about that.
It's not that difficult because it's not heavily religious in either direction.
Right, but just lots of gifts.
You should have pretended to take that offensively. Just say, are you really asking me that question?
I mean, where are you going with this, Emily?
I'm just curious.
No.
How many gifts do you do? How do you pace out the gifts?
I mean, we do the lighting of the Hanukkah lights, but it's more of like a cultural thing than like explaining the deep history of it, which is good because I'm not sure I can.
Yeah.
But like, and like same with the Christmas end of it, it's not a deeply religious celebration because that is on my wife's side, and my wife even, I'm pretty sure she can explain it. She just doesn't want to. So like she was raised in a very, very religious home and has decided that's not how she wants to raise our child.
Yeah.
So it's not that complicated. To me, it's more about exposing her culturally to backgrounds we both have as opposed to the religious element of it. Like, I mean, the only time she's ever been inside a temple is for two people we know who got bat mitzvahed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time I think she's ever been in a church was a funeral.
So I'm asking because my family, my dad is Lutheran, my mom is Catholic, so just two different versions of Christianity. But like around Christmas, I have to go to so many masses. It is crazy. So Christmas Eve is always Lutheran church mass, and it's the Christmas pageant mass, and so it's all the little kids doing the Christmas pageant. My sisters and I are all having a good time and goofing around. But then we always go to mass on Christmas Day. After we open presents, so it's kind of like a rush to open presents and then get to like 9:30 mass.
Am I correct? That mass is long.
It is long.
It's a long day.
They used to do when we were growing up. They would have. They still do it, but midnight mass, right? So you're basically going. It's like the 10 p.m. mass.
Yeah, a lot of people do it on Christmas Eve. Yeah.
And it ends at midnight, and then you're saying Merry Christmas to everybody and everything else, and then you go home, and there is food just ready to go. Really, a lot of doctors love this when you're eating as much as you can around 12:30 at night.
Right.
But they do, as long as you just go to church, right? But growing up, especially Middle Eastern culture, they had there's so many Chaldeans specifically in El Cajon. You got masses basically starting at like 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., 10 p.m., and then that's the final one. And then the next morning, that's like just doing it too. And everyone is complete because most of the people are only going during Easter.
Is it the same priest? I guess it would be a priest. Is it the same priest doing the service over and over?
Yeah, he just gets back to back. He's pulling a quadruple.
I was going to say, like, this priest is the equivalent of like when Siciliano would do the red zone.
Yeah,
like he's just there the whole time.
He really
never
is.
leaves.
He's Hanson and Siciliano. They're
doesn't
all
get a pee break. Like he's just up on that stage
and
the entire time.
And people are, the crowd is very critical. If he's on his fourth mass and he thinks he can work the fourth mass, he's not as good in the fourth mass as he was in the second mass.
Let's be honest, the crowd wants the highlights. They want the scores. They're not interested in everything that happens in between the 20s. They want to know.
Middle-aged woman who really wants to from the choir that's really into singing these little lines of dialogue, and I also think that priests like to ham it up a little bit on Christmas and Easter, and they sing out certain lines.
They got more people coming. This is like
got great gowns.
Yeah, look, let me give you a good example. Lakers play the Celtics on Christmas, right?
Yeah.
That game's a little juice.
Yeah, it's on primetime TV. You're getting more eyeballs than normal.
LeBron's not treating that game the same way he's treating, a November 14th game, unless it's the in-season tournament.
Do you think, though? I mean, I'm really asking this because I've never been to a midday mass. I've never been.
Yeah.
Do you think the priests save some of their best material?
No question.
For Christmas?
Their homilies, which is like the little speech they give. It's always.
They're like, I'm not wasting this in June, pal.
I was just gonna say he's working on material in July that he's like, this is good. I'm waiting. Whether it applies or not, I'm waiting.
Do they ever go out on the road, test this stuff?
Stand-up guys, come on, man.
Work on his best material.
No, they got to work through the material.
So couple of the priests that
You
we
can't
have
bring in
there-
your cell phone into the service. They don't want anyone recording
Yeah,
it.
no. Couple of the priests
They put in little pouches.
they're at a church in Rancho Cucamonga. I can't say which one, but they practice weekdays there,
Right.
And then they're ready for the weekends.
Open mic Thursday.
Down in
Open
El Cajon.
pulpit.
Yeah.
Open pulpit Thursdays.
When I was a kid, I used to be a candle lighter, so they wouldn't let girls in my church be like altar people. So because there's only
I
for
used to
boys.
be an altar boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be an altar girl, but they wouldn't let me. So all I could do was be a candle lighter. And so one year,
It's a little scary.
I was the candle lighter for Christmas, and again, I thought that I was a big deal because everyone's looking at me as I'm lighting. And also for Christmas mass, there's like 50 candles. Usually there's like 5, and for Christmas mass it's like 50 candles, and so I'm having to do it like really like methodically, try not to burn down the place. But that was my moment to shine when I was a little Catholic girl.
Did I ever tell you my altar boy story? Yeah, it's good. Let's get this in the background. It's good.
Yeah, tell the altar boy story. It's great.
So I'm probably like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. Okay. and between 9 and 11 is kind of like your prime for altar boy.
Sure.
That's when you're in your, that's like your peak, right? So think of 28 years old. They say
You're Anthony Davis
You're
right
in your
now.
prime. You're
in
your
your
prime
prime.
LeBron.
9-11 or
Right.
between 9 and 11 is when you're basically like, this is the best that you got. So let's just say they didn't exactly give you gowns. You got to wear the full gown like all the way down, right, AK? Let's just say they're not.
Why are you asking right for AK? You can go right for me.
How would I know?
Well, I'm explaining it to you. That
You
you
look
gotta
like
wear,
a shepherd almost.
Yeah, exactly. Got to wear this gown. Well, let's just say they're not exactly like, hey, how tall are you? Let me get a tailor in here.
One
Let
size
me-
fits all. That's
let
what
me
it is.
fit this thing all the way
Right.
through. So I'm wearing my gown, and there's a stage in the church, or there's a stage during Mass where I got to go down a couple of stairs, and this is kind of like my interaction with everybody else. So I'm getting ready to go down the stairs. I step on my gown. Well, if my right foot steps on my gown, my left foot can't come save me. I just go down. I go
Are
down
you
right
carrying
in front of
anything
church.
at this point in time?
No, not carrying anything. I go down right in front of church. Okay? A couple people in the front row.
You mace planted.
Yeah. I got my hands in front of me. The only
Okay.
problem with Mace is Mace didn't put his hands in front of him. So, and I got my grandma, of course. My grandma basically had season tickets, so she was sitting like she had
Or behind home plate.
Courtside seats.
My grandma was, sitting,
She's the Jack Nicholson of your church.
yeah, front row, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's her spot. No one comes into that spot. So I go down. She lets out this, oh my gosh, that's it.
My baby boy.
Yeah, he's done, right? And as, look, as some people want to just call it quits right there, I didn't call it quits. I got up, okay? But you got the entire church looking at me like, this idiot just go down? The answer is yes, I did go down. And then, after the dust kind of settled, I go back to where all the other altar boys are. There's probably like 4 of us there, 5, maybe 5 of us. 3 of them couldn't stop laughing. So the priest at one point churns and looks at all of them, points at them and goes, out of here. Ejected them as if it was
If the priest was cool, he would have played along with him. It's he would have added it to the homily in some way.
You got
shape,
the
or
Joey
form.
Crawford of
Middle
priests.
Eastern church. Yeah,
Just
that's
booting
it.
people left and right.
There's no we're playing along with this. So not only did I fall in the middle of church, had my grandma jump up and say, what the hell just happened to Slee, okay? Have all that embarrassment that on top of it, 3 altar boys get kicked out because of me.
It's a wild service.
At least you didn't have a candle in your hand, and then you fall and it burns
no.
everything
Yeah,
up.
that would have been bad. That was church back in the day. You want to come? Let me know. I know some people. We could get you.
I mean, are you going to fall?
And definitely,
if you're gonna fall, I'll go.
my family is the oddballs that go on Christmas Day. Like almost everyone goes on Christmas Eve, either like 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. Like
they go
midnight
like
mass.
9 a.m.
We go like 9:30 a.m. on Christmas Day, and there's nobody there. And that's why we go at that time, because we kind of avoid all the crowds and stuff. But we have our routine down to a science.
No
over
turkey
here.
trot.
No turkey trot. No turkey trot.
Yeah, it's not my idea. It's my family's idea. I do not want to do that.
We just got a tweet from @mailman_Matt.
Yeah.
Cam Brothers, you mean to tell me your pastor doesn't have a tight 20? Chris Morales would never allow them to work the Mandy's.
That's great. That's great.
All right, we got Factor Cap coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
This is the Rams Report.
but I'm going to go back.
First of all, it's not a cap.
It is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys. Yeah, I didn't really expect for us to have so much Catholic talk last segment, but it's awoken something in me. When I was a kid, I really wanted to be a nun.
Well, we did get the directive from Sam Pines and all the people at Good Karma, more Catholic talk.
Obviously, everyone relates to everything.
We opened the phone lines of which side you're going on.
I mean, we do what we're told.
Let's get John Mulaney on the phone.
Explicitly what they said.
One thing, too, I used to go to this thing called Catechism every Wednesday when I was growing up, and I cannot smell incense anymore because they used to have incense every catechism. I can't do that. So anyway, so Zac Efron is starring in a new movie called The Iron Claw.
Can't wait.
Which is has had rave reviews. I'm super excited. I love Zac Efron. I've loved Zac Efron since I was a little kid because I used to watch him in High School Musical. He's had big budget films like Baywatch. He was in a movie with Michael B. Jordan, but he's never had Greatest Showman, but he's never had the big leading man, best actor kind of role. And so this is the big option.
This is supposed to be good stuff.
Yeah,
here?
it's from A24, which is a great production company. They do good movies, and it's a really sad story. And Zach has been getting rave reviews for best actor. So I'm here for this Zac Efron renaissance. I want to see him as a leading man in more movies. I really want a renaissance for him. So there is someone that you really want to see a redemption arc for, that you really want to see. I want to see what they do next. It doesn't have to be in movies or TV shows or music. If it's basketball, if it's whatever, you have someone you want to see a redemption arc. Alan, Factor Cap.
Man, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's. I think I lean more Cap in this, but I'll tell you something that interests me. I'll use an actor as an example. When somebody plays a role that everyone's questioning, like, well, I've never seen him do that.
When they're against type.
Yes, and you're kind of asking yourself, is that person going to flourish in that, or is this? I can't take this guy serious.
Like seek Eddie Murphy in a serious role or something like that.
It could be exactly like whatever the role is. I always have a lot of curiosity to see, can somebody else play a role that I'm not accustomed to? Actually, here's a good example. And why am I drawing a blank here? Talladega Nights. Give me the
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly. I know that's different when he did his HBO series, The Winning Time,
and he was Oscar nominated for Chicago.
But that's right. That's another one. But someone like that I literally cannot. He's in bunk beds with Will Ferrell for movies, and he's like, nothing he says you take seriously. And then all of a sudden there's a role where I'm like, wow, he's really good at that. I'm more open to that.
It's like Will Ferrell in Stranger Than Fiction. I love that movie, and I thought he was great in that movie, but it's kind of a dramatic role as well. Andy?
For me, it's fact, and I mean, I wouldn't say what Efron's doing right now is redemption as much as it is reinvention.
Yes, I agree.
That's a good way to put it.
And I love when you see actors do that. And I always find it interesting when actors become really successful over time and they get better as they get older. Like, I think Ben Affleck has become a better actor as he's gotten older. Like, I think Ethan Hawke has become a better actor as he's gotten older. And it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes actors get a lot of acclaim, a lot of success, and they start becoming a little more bored with it or less inspired. I always find it interesting when you see guys reinvent themselves. As for the Iron Claw, I've been wanting to see this story told for so long. It is a really
Can you give some background?
Don't spoil everything.
Everything I'm saying is.
I know.
Yeah, I mean it's a true story. Mm-hmm. The Von Erich family in the late 70s throughout the 80s. They're a real life family of professional wrestlers, and there are these brothers, Kerry, Kevin, David, and Mike did some wrestling as well. Their father was Fritz, who was like a professional wrestler before them.
Okay.
And he was known to be this really drill sergeant-y tactician, really tough on his kids.
Okay.
And they're in this fake sport. It's this fake orchestrated sport. Great athletes, but it's staged. In real life, they had all this tragedy going on. Only Kevin's the only of the brothers who's still alive. The majority of them died by suicide. David, it's always been a little bit murky exactly how he died. It was listed as, I think, like an intestinal problem or something like that, but there have been people who've doubted it in the past. In the meantime, Kerry took his life. Mike took his life.
When does this come out?
Pretty soon.
So there are previews out right now. You could probably look it up that you could see it somewhere in LA.
And
but
just
it's
this-
gonna be wide at the end of the year.
This contrast between
That's heavy.
between fake sport, real drama. I've always thought it could be just an incredible story. So I can't wait to see it. The reviews have been great. The trailer looks incredible.
Mhm. And so Zac Efron plays
Kevin, the one who's still alive.
Survives. Jeremy Allen White, who's from The Bear, plays another one of the brothers. And then it's also a guy who is in Triangle of Sadness. Great actor, is another one of the brothers. I can't remember the fourth one is because I don't know if he's featured very much.
And then the actor who plays Fritz, the really dictatorial father, is the actor from Mindhunter and all sorts of different. He's a terrific actor. His name is escaping. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like McCary Holt or something.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this movie.
I'm super stoked for it too. I've seen this trailer so many freaking times. I'm very ready. The Don't Fear the Reaper is going on in the background in that trailer. So Jorge, do you have something you want to see a redemption arc for?
You guys know this guy from Ted Lasso, the guy who played Danny Rojas. Cristo Fernandez.
Oh, yeah.
Give him something. He's done the voice of one of the Transformers in the latest movie. He had this role in Ted Lasso. I think if we see him in a role of his own, maybe the story of Danny Rojas. I don't know, something like that for him.
Another person who's really good at reinventing himself is Robert Pattinson. So Robert Pattinson
Yes.
at a young age was both in Harry Potter and in Twilight. And so for a lot of his life, it was like big budget franchise films. And then he just takes now the weirdest jobs
He's
possible.
a good actor.
Right now, if you want to go see The Boy and the Heron, which is the new Miyazaki film, if you watch the American English dubbed version, Robert Pattinson is the Heron, and he is absolutely insane in that movie. So Robert Pattinson, love him, but he takes weird roles, but in a good way. All right, so we talked earlier in the week, and Hot and Cold, I believe, on Wednesday, about how Idaho's getting the very first In-N-Out in the state. And the lines to get food at this In-N-Out were 8 hours long. 8 hours long to get an In-N-Out burger, potentially for the first time for Idahoans. So my statement is, the longest you would wait in a line for something you really want is 2 hours. Andy, fact or cap?
2 hours is about my limit, unless it's something my daughter really wants to do.
You'll do whatever you need to do. Yeah.
I will try to. If it's for me, I'm not sure there's anything I want that badly to wait 2 hours. Although, you know what? I have in our house, David Byrne, the singer from Talking Heads, years ago wrote a book, a fiction book, and my mom used to go to this booksellers convention every year because she loves to read, loves getting books, and the authors are often there. She waited in this line forever to get this signed poster of David Byrne's book that I have framed in our house. She didn't know who he was, but she heard he was a rock star, so she thought that me and Brian, she got one for Brian, would like him. So she's telling me about this, and she's like, I got you a signed poster from, I think he's a musician. His name's David Byrne. I'm like, wait, David Byrne?
Yeah.
I'm like, you got David Byrne to sign that? She had no idea who he was.
Amazing.
And I think she waited somewhere between an hour to 2 hours. So shout out to Mom.
Shout out to Mom. Al, what about you?
I actually go, so long as you'd wait in line. I go cap. I'd wait longer. And I'll tell you why I would wait longer. I've brought this up before. If you told me, just hypothetically, I'm going to use, if I'm in Austin, Texas, and people are saying, guys, this is the best barbecue spot that you're going to have. You got to try. You're in Austin. Maybe you don't go back for a couple of years or whatever the case is. If I'm sold on something, and maybe I'm looking at it more from like a food-related thing, if there's a line that's just crazy, and this is going to be arguably the best barbecue that you're going to have, and this, I'll wait. And listen, I'm not telling you I'm going to wait 8 hours, but if you told me get there at 7 a.m. and it opens up at 10, I'm going to wait 3 hours. And I'm going to, listen, I hope it's worth it. I hope I could walk away.
3 hours of your trip?
But if I get up early and I could do it like right when they open, I would wait. I would wait.
I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. Vulnerable. I don't have the bladder for a 3 hour wait. I just don't. I can't. I don't have a 3 hour waiting line bladder.
Can I tell you how these barbecue shops, I've seen them, just you watch on YouTube, something like that. because they know people are first off, there's going to be a line before anything even starts. They know how long people are going to be waiting for. They got coolers of refreshments. You don't got to pay for anything. Just you need
Doesn't
water.
really help with his situation.
No, it doesn't.
You need water. You need soda. By the
Only
way,
makes it worse.
restrooms are open, and the restrooms
good.
you could use at any point, come in and out, whatever the case is.
That's helpful.
Some of them even they have the restrooms on the outside, so it's like you don't even have to go into the restaurant. So they've clearly thought of, if we're going to have people waiting hours here because our barbecue's that good, we got to make sure that you don't have situations. So,
Jorge?
I would wait. Depends on the guy. Like if it's like a signing, obviously for Beckham, I'll wait the 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
But the longest I've waited was 2.5 hours when at Disneyland, my little brother was so stoked about going on that Guardians of the Galaxy ride. We waited 2.5 hours just for the thing, and once we get to like the elevator portion that was gonna take you up to the second floor before you ride. He's like, I gotta go pee, dude. I don't think I want to make it. I'm like, heck no, bro. We're not at the door. You better hold it now. But 2.5 hours is the longest I waited for a ride. Not even like a food item or anything. But yeah, I'll wait.
Some of those you don't even
2
have
hours.
a choice.
No, you don't.
Like you walk in thinking it's going to be an hour, and then you're already an hour in. It's like, no, there's another hour.
There's an episode of The Simpsons where they go to Itsy and Scratchy Land, and they see this long line. And they're like, what is this for? And they're like, well, it must be great if it's this long. And they zoom to the front. It's the complaints. It's just complaints.
That's amazing.
Hilarious.
All right, I got one more for you guys.
Okay, let's do it.
So earlier this week, on Monday Night Football, Monday Night Football, one of the games was between the Miami Dolphins and the Titans, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
And
again, got me into my fantasy playoffs.
Amazing! Congratulations to you, Andy.
Do you like the 2 games? 2 games at once?
I love that one game.
So anyway, Mike McDaniel's so Peyton Manning was like, hey, texted Mike McDaniel, hey, can we chat sometime this week? Just 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, hang up on me! ! And then Mike McDaniel responded back with like an expletive-laden text that said, of course I can talk to you. You're Peyton, you know what, Manning. Like, what the hell? Like, So this is your response if you got a text from Peyton Manning. Jorge Fettercap.
Yeah, I mean, he's a funny guy. He's an interesting person. Like, I would be like, yeah, I'll take his text.
I also love how Peyton was like, it's only 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, hang up with me. It's like,
hey, I'll take
people
it.
make time.
If it's 5, it's 5. Hey, it's Peyton Manning.
Al?
Fact, no question about it. It's almost like, we've been in cool predicaments where there could be an athlete on the other side, or it's a PR director saying, hey, sorry, I can only get you 5 or 10 minutes with this athlete. It's like, why would you say sorry? That's great. I appreciate it. Peyton Manning is, just his personality, everything else. That's my exact response.
It's absolutely. You know how stupid any of us in this industry would have to be to have Peyton Manning reach out and say, hey, I want to give you 10 minutes on my platform.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Like, you'd have to be so stupid for what we do.
Sure.
Like, forget that, like how much you'd actually enjoy it or whatever. Just the opportunity alone.
I could see you. I could see you ghosting him. Who's this?
New phone. Who this?
Who it is? Question mark.
It's Peyton Manning. I used to play in the NFL. I don't know if you know.
Not familiar with your work.
Never heard of him. Okay, a couple things. I know we haven't got a chance yet to talk about it, but a couple things around the Dodgers front. Tyler Glasnow is now a Los Angeles Dodger. Some interesting quotes I thought from Shohei Otani. The latest on Yamamoto and what the pitch looks like from the Dodgers on that. A lot of stuff going on around Dodgers baseball. All that coming up next. Travis and Sliwa Show, 8K in the house, 710 ESPN. Number 7 is on the line for the 12 days of 710. Hugo Gonzalez in Los Angeles. Hugo, thank you for calling in, buddy. Are you ready to pick a holiday box in the 710 studio?
Yes, hello. Hi, yes, I'm ready.
Okay, which host holiday box do you want to pick? Do you want Travis, Sliwa, Mace, Ireland, Sedano, or Cap?
Let me take Cap.
The Kaplan Box.
The Kaplan Box.
Here we go. Let's see what's inside the box. Congratulations, you win a Sierra Subaru prize pack. And, of course, a gift card from our friends at Islands. And that's what's in the box, Jack.
All right, Hugo Gonzalez, congratulations, buddy. You've just won a Sierra Subaru prize pack. You get the Islands gift card as well. Congratulations. Just tell us what station is taking care of you during the season of winning.
Oh, the great 710 ESPN Los Angeles.
The 12 days of 710.
The 12 days of 710. It's the season of winning on 710.
All right, great stuff as always. We've been doing that now, and we'll continue doing it. Thank you to Hugo for calling in there. AK, we've gotten to a lot of stuff. Listen, the news went down about the Chargers this morning. Brandon Staley gone. Tom Telesco out. We talked a little bit, of course, about what's going on with the Lakers and their game coming up against Victor Wembanyama. I want to spend a little time talking about Shohei Otani here and spend some time about that presser yesterday. By the way, another big news, which I think everybody believed was going to happen, but the Dodgers are finalizing a deal with Tyler Glasnow of the Tampa Bay Rays, finalizing a 5-year, $135 million contract. By the way, he is 30 years old.
As part of a trade. It's essentially like a trade and extension.
Exactly. This was actually what was going to get the trade done, was that he extends with the Dodgers. So the trade, Glasnow and Manuel Margot from the Rays to the Dodgers for Ryan Pepio and Johnny DeLuca. We'll look for that to be official. Let me start with the Ohtani stuff, and then we'll get into Tyler Glasnow and everything else. What did you make of yesterday and the introduction? And listen, it's a trip. Like, the whole thing is, however, initially when it went down, it was like, oh my gosh, Shohei Otani is actually going to be a Los Angeles Dodger. Okay, what's the next step? The next step is seeing Shohei Otani in a presser at Dodger Stadium where he's putting the jersey on and he's putting the hat on. The next step is when it's going to be spring training or something along those lines, when he's actually out there playing. This is just the process of how it works. What'd you make of yesterday?
I've been trying to think about whether or not the Dodgers have ever brought in a star that big or even had a star that big. Like, when you think about just their profile, how great they are at their sport, the international factor, like Fernando obviously became an international superstar.
Yep.
But he was more of a homegrown thing. You know, the Dodgers really discovered what they had as the world discovered it. It wasn't like they brought him in with a bunch of hype, and media was different then. Like, it was a different media environment. You know, Manny was huge when they brought him in. I was covering the Dodgers at the time for the LA Times, and I was at Dodger Stadium for Manny's first day, and that was a circus. Like, I remember, you know, that Dodger clubhouse, and it had been a weird time for the Dodgers. Like, there had been tension on the team. It was often really quiet. Manny's first day, he's already holding court. He's got speakers blaring this like salsa music, like
changed the whole vibe.
Oh yeah, you had Jeff Kent like off in the corner looking like, well, my time here is done. Like, my rule of this clubhouse has officially ended. Mm-hmm. And Manny was obviously a big deal, but not at the global scale of an Ohtani. And he's also in his prime. Manny was not in his prime at that point. This is going to be something brand new, not just for Dodger fans. It's going to be something brand new for the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the Dodgers really have true experience for what they are about to get into. And frankly, there aren't a lot of comps for what they're about to get into.
Before this went down, Trav and I were talking about, look, of course, the lead up, and what if let's pretend, let's say he's a Dodger tomorrow. What's going to happen? And I was trying to explain to Trav, and Trav's, obviously got the history, born and raised in Los Angeles. And I said, it'd be one of the biggest sports moments in the history of the city. And you tell me what combats that. And then we kind of were going through. And it's like, okay, well, Wayne Gretzky coming to the LA Kings. Shaquille O'Neal being signed by the Los Angeles Lakers. And listen, there's others too.
Shaq joining the Lakers, off the top of my head, is maybe the closest, just because Gretzky was obviously huge, but again, so much of a different meat. I don't know. Actually,
it's a big one.
Gretzky was pretty big.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Gretzky was
but here's
big.
Here's the point that I'm
Except
trying to
the Lakers
make.
are bigger in this city than the Kings are.
Here's the point
and
that
so
I'm
are the
trying to
Dodgers,
make.
for that matter.
The point I'm trying to make is in 20 years from now, if another team is working on another big free agent, we could very easily just say, guys, nothing was bigger than Shohei. Period. That there is, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how things kind of unfold and everything else. But like you were saying, yesterday was very unique. Earlier in the week, on Saturday, was very unique. And what happens moving forward with Shohei, and then the details started coming out of, wait, the guy's going to make how much money? And there's an instant pressure of, I'm not telling you the Dodgers don't already have pressure, but there's an instant of, go improve the damn roster right now. Like, there is no more of this, well, let's not sign Corey Seager because Trey Turner, we got him for another year protected. Well, let's not sign Trey Turner because Gavin Lux says, no, we don't want to spend money on this pitcher because we got a crop of other players coming. Shohei Otani basically told the Dodgers that I'm not going to take my money now, all good, but I'm trying to win multiple World Series. I know I'm going to make the playoffs. Get to work right away. This is what they've done since. And then Dave Roberts was on with Dan Patrick that I want to get into. I don't know if and listen, I might be wrong on this. Tyler Glasnow, who's finalizing a 5-year, $135 million contract. Is that a deal the Dodgers make if Shohei Otani is not a Dodger? Maybe they do. I'm just saying that when I saw that deal going down, part of the reason why I thought, oh, this is why they're going after him. A, he could be your ace. And B, he's on an expiring contract, $25 million.
That's what I initially thought as well.
It's the final year of his, and this is not somebody that's a workhorse that's working X amount of innings and X amount of games a year. He's actually had injuries. That's been one of the holes in his game is availability. And it kind of got me thinking about, well, if the Dodgers, would they do this if Ohtani was not a Dodger? And how much has that now changed the way they do business because Ohtani did what he did of giving up so much money down the road?
Well, it's not just that they got Ohtani. It's that Ohtani's contract is structured the way it is, where you can actually do this sort of stuff while you just took on a $700 million deal. Like, once I saw the details with Glasnow that this was a long-term deal, because like you, I assumed this was, okay,
great.
We're going all in for this year.
Yep.
Glasnow is going to be one of the all in for this year's guy, just like player X, Y, and Z will be the 1-year guy for 2025 and 2026, and there'll be mostly short-term commitments.
That's kind of what they've done.
Right, as they try to maximize this time with Ohtani and with Freeman and with Betts. But like okay, talk about the thing, though, that jumps out at me with specifically this contract and how it affects it all. We'll talk about that.
Let's do that coming up next. Plus, we got Dave Roberts on Dan Patrick's show talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Elevate your game at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Sunday for their live Rams postgame show from the Rays Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and interact with Travis and Kirk. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Reminder, party, oh party, Sunday after the game. Come see Travis and Kirk and enjoy a postgame meal and drink at the Rays Lounge right after Rams football is done. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
It's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, Give me Laker tickets. Yes. We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the 5th row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
You remember this one, right?
Not a clue.
Not a clue, nothing? Em, do you know the song?
Sounds familiar, but I don't know the name of the song.
Or hey, this is just our world.
Yeah, it's Lil Wayne. Come on.
Sound like my
Okay.
daddy. You know,
Sound
this
like
song.
my
Play a
daddy,
Taylor Swift song and see
I
if you
have
guys know the name
no
of it.
idea
Go for
what
it.
this
Yeah,
is.
go. Play it.
We listen. Don't challenge Jorge and I with Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
We probably wouldn't know it.
Exactly.
We probably wouldn't know. We probably wouldn't know any of them. Okay, we were just getting into this, and I think the point that you were starting to get into about kind of the Dodgers strategy now, I personally think it's not just the money that Shohei Otani freed for the Dodgers to say, hey, go spend. It's what the Dodgers typically do versus how much that's going to change now because Shohei Otani has given them the ability to go sign. But the Dodgers, just because they're the second largest market in the country, doesn't mean the Dodgers are stupid with their money. This is what makes them, I think, such a consistent team. The market has not, the amount of money they have has not dictated, well, let's just go spend money. They make what feels like smart decisions, maybe sometimes too smart for their own good, where they're not taking enough risks, taking enough chances. So I'll let you get back into your point that you were making.
Well, I mean, to some degree, you have Ohtani now.
Okay.
So that puts a pressure on you as an organization that you need to be in the best position possible to win right now. And you need to be going for it right now. And going for it obviously means spending. But the flexibility of, I mean, like unheard of flexibility with Ohtani's contract also allows you to go for it in ways that you might not otherwise, because you don't have to think about the ramifications as much. Like, if Ohtani was not deferring so much of this money,
Yeah.
even with the idea of, okay, you have Ohtani, you got to go for it. Do I know for sure, or do I feel confident that they would be doing this deal for Glasnow? No. Because Glasnow still is a type of guy that they would often be reluctant
That's what
under
I'm saying.
normal circumstances.
And that's my only point is I thought, oh, they're doing this because he's got 1 year left at $25 million. Tampa's not going to pay that. I think Manuel Margot has $10 million. So Tampa, $35 million off the book. That makes sense.
Right, but if they were giving Ohtani a full $70 million every year,
Yeah.
even though obviously by definition, if you bring in Ohtani, that means you need to be trying to maximize this time. It doesn't make any sense to do it unless you're going to be maximizing it. If you just have to pay him the full boat every year, I'm not sure that they do this deal for Glasnow, because there are risks that come with his past health injuries.
That risk is going to still be there.
Right.
That
It's
doesn't
still
go
going to be
away.
there. It's going to be carrying into like his mid-30s. So without that flexibility, like, okay, the Dodgers we know
But
have.
can I stop you right there?
Sure.
that's, I think, the point that I'm getting at is it's not a typical Dodger move. Whether Shohei says, hey, here's all the money, go spend how you need to, it's still not a typical Dodger move. And how much is that strategy changing now? Not based on how much money was freed up, but it's the pressure of Shohei saying, now, we got to win now.
Here's the thing, though. I think it's both because they've had this all-in pressure anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They have been an all-in team for a while. They've, the minute you bring in Mookie to that type of money, Freddie Freeman to that type of money, the type of yearly, if nothing else, that they've been willing to give Kershaw and other guys on that team, they've been willing to spend, but they were paying all those guys their full contracts every year. So it does create a different economic pressure with Ohtani being here and largely getting paid when he's done playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you maximum confidence, like financial confidence, to say, all right, we wouldn't normally do this thing with Glasnow, but we're getting Ohtani for $2 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it easier to make that type of move as opposed to just pressure. It's actually easier now to do it. Like it doesn't feel as risky giving Glasnow this type of money because it's not on top of the $70 million you're paying Ohtani right now, on top of Mookie's yearly, on top of Freddie's yearly.
Still risky on that contract.
It is risky, but it feels less risky.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually wonder if, the Dodgers have obviously been earmarking Ohtani for a while. We've known this, and there was a lot of suspicion that
that's
last
why they
year,
didn't do anything last year. Yep.
If they had known, okay, like through your back channeling, your tampering, whatever you want to call it.
He's coming, and not only is he coming, he's only going to take $2 million a year for 10 years.
I wonder if they would have spent more on last year's roster and just try to go as all in as possible last year, because it's like, it doesn't matter because we're not paying Ohtani the bulk of this till way down the road. We'll figure out down the road.
We'll take a quick call here. By the way, if you want to be a part of the show, 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-ESPN. Jeff in Long Beach. Jeff, what's going on? Thank you for calling in.
What's going on, boys? Love the show. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys touched earlier on talking about the scope of the Ohtani trade and like what it's going to end up meaning, and you touched on the comp of the Gretzky trade. But the interesting about that thing is that the jury's going to have to stay out. Like we didn't really know what the Gretzky trade meant until he left. You know what I mean? I think you think about it, the closest geographic team to the Kings when Gretzky came to the Kings was in Vancouver. And by the time he left, we had San Jose, Anaheim, Phoenix, Dallas, Colorado, like all of that expanded. And that you can tie it all directly to him coming to Los Angeles. Major League Baseball is in such a place that like we're not going to expand like that. So we're going to have to see like what does the trade actually mean on like, I guess we're going to have to judge it on a global scale now. Like, does it actually change? Is there like a seismic shift? You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think this is actually going to resonate like that?
Appreciate you calling in, Jeff. I will say there's two franchises that Shohei could have gone to where I think there is a seismic shift. If he's playing for the New York Yankees or if he's playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I think those two specific organizations, you're taking the most popular player in the league and you're matching them with one of the most popular franchises in the league.
In sports, forget just baseball.
In sports. Yeah, you're right. It's the cream. It's not that much different than LeBron was the most popular player in the NBA and joined the most popular franchises, one of the most popular franchises in sports. There's your marriage. Go with it from there. There is a little bit of a sit and wait. And this is what I mean by sit and wait. If we're sitting here 3 years from now and Shohei got some playoff appearances, but they still haven't won a World Series, right? That there's – and listen, this is baseball. That you can have – we were talking about this before the show started. This is how not guaranteed anything is in baseball. The Padres had a Cy Young Award winner in Blake Snell, who was the third best pitcher on that team the year before. Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, and Musgrove.
Musgrove
for the three pitchers. You had arguably the best closer in baseball in Josh Hader. You had Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth, Ha-Seong Kim, Go down the list of all these different players that you had. They didn't make the playoffs. And the Arizona Diamondbacks not just made the playoffs, swept the Dodgers, took care of the Philadelphia Phillies in the process, and then got all the way to the World Series. If there's ever a sport where it's not guaranteed, baseball's probably the one that's most likely falls into that front. This only gets bigger from here, obviously, if the Dodgers win and Shohei gets opportunities, not just make the playoffs, but be in World Series. So I think the seismic shift he's talking about depends on what happens from here, too.
Yeah, I mean, there is a very non-0% chance that the Ohtani era could be considered disappointing, not because of Ohtani failing to live up to expectations individually, because I think the odds favor that happening. If nothing else, I think it's pretty safe to assume he's going to be a really good hitter for the rest of his time in baseball. Baseball is a sport of failure. You fail way more often than you succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it. If you're a 300 hitter, you're considered a really good hitter. That means you are not getting hit 70% of the time you're at bat.
Might be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
It is a sport of failure. And it is also a sport where there's only so much anybody can do to lift their team, no matter how great you are, because you get maybe 5 at-bats at most. You can be in the field, and 80% of a game doesn't involve you.
Yep.
Like, the ball doesn't even go to you. And in the case of Ohtani, he didn't play in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't play in the field at all. So he's going to get 4 or 5 at-bats every game, and assuming he eventually starts pitching again, 1 out of every 5 to influence as a pitcher. And an overwhelming majority of the game does not involve Ohtani at all. And that's the way baseball's structured, and that's what makes this both exciting and risky. As great as Ohtani is, it's risky.
And this is the one thing that I'll give the Dodgers, and everyone should give them credit for this. Last 10 seasons, all they've said is, well, we'll just get in the postseason, and eventually luck is going to go our way, right? And the answer is no. It has not gone their way, so they can only stack it as much as they can. Let me read off a quote here from Shohei from yesterday. He said, they said when they look back at the last 10 years, he's talking about the Dodgers, even though they made the playoffs every single year, 1 World Series ring, they consider that a failure. And when I heard that, I knew that they were all about winning, and that's exactly how I feel. That basically, he's complimenting that the Dodgers are looking at it as, well, what have we really done? And I could tell you this, and you can as well, because you sit in this chair and you're interacting. I don't think there's any Dodger fans out there that are saying, it's not that they're not appreciative of how consistent the Dodgers have been to make the postseason, but you can't tell me there's a good taste in their mouth over the last 10 years. It feels like it's gone down how many different times where they're disappointed more than they're happy.
Again, baseball is a really, really difficult sport to succeed in, which makes it often a really, really difficult experience for the fans.
Baseball.
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
I mean,
It's
Dave
baseball.
said it. He just said it.
I mean, here's the thing, though. As much as Dodger fans hate hearing that from Roberts,
Yep.
and it doesn't mean that there aren't things you can do better to try to stack the odds in your favor, he is right to some degree. Like, he actually is.
Baseball.
But yes, but I kind of go back to this, and Trav says this all the time. Yeah, but why doesn't luck go their way? As often as luck has gone against them, how come it hasn't fallen their way? And I think that's kind of the point is if you're 10 years, I told you, they're in the playoffs. They've won the division 10 of 11 years. And it's not like they don't have players. Like they have some of the best players that are in the game. It's kind of funny now when people are saying, can you imagine it's going to be Mookie, Freddie, Shohei Otani, whatever 3 you want. I'm like, a year ago it was Mookie, Freddie, and Trey Turner. As in, I'm not trying to compare Shohei and Trey Turner. Sure. Trey Turner is a very good baseball player as well, but it's not like they've ever had a lack of talent.
But
it's just the talent hasn't
it's a great
got through.
core. It's a great core.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there is one quote that I want to read, latest on Yamamoto. We're going to do that when we come back. Plus, if the Rams don't make the playoffs, is it still a success? They're sitting at 6-5 and really a good chance of making the postseason. We'll do that coming up next. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Elevate your game at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Sunday for their live Rams postgame show from the Rays Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and interact with Travis and Kirk. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Reminder, party, oh party, Sunday after the game. Come see Travis and Kirk and enjoy a postgame meal and drink at the Rays Lounge right after Rams football is done. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets? Yes. We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
And then just touch me
Come on, Andy.
till I can get my
YouTube.
satisfaction.
Fist bump, baby. Come on.
Push me, and then just touch me.
You know, this I know. Right? This I know.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme of our show. It's turned into this ever since Steve Kerr called out the techno music at the games. Then we, Travis and I, Jorge, Emily, were like, guys, this is genius. That's kind of who we are at our core.
When I think of Travis, I think of the club, the guy with the suspenders. He's playing with them, the lollipop in his mouth.
Yep.
Popping Molly.
Hat backwards.
Yeah, that's Travis.
Yeah, Travis a big raise the roof guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing that.
Travis
for a
goes to
while
all the raves, but he leaves by 9 p.m.
Or he shows up at like 6:30 a.m. and is like, so what's going on? And people are still going.
Club music.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
I used to. There was a period where I was doing Lakers postgame with Travis.
Yep.
And we'd have these games that would end at like, We're done with our part of the show at 11:30.
If you're going Congo room on this, I know where you're going.
11:30.
Yep.
Be like a Wednesday night, 11:30. Travis would be genuinely disgusted by all of these people out on a weekday at like 11 o'clock. Like that offended him to his very core.
I think I figured it out. I think we got it figured out. If the rave started at, let's say, 10 p.m., okay, and let's say it goes till noon, like it goes that long, he shows up at 6:30 in the morning, and wherever they are within the rave, he just joins them right there.
Yeah, Travis's ideal rave hours are from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's when Travis likes to hit. That's when he likes to hit the after hours.
That's too good. That's right. This is it. This is it. This is it right here. Okay, so I want to get into something here real quick. So, it's kind of interesting. Dan Patrick had Dave Roberts on a little bit earlier today. And I think the thing that we're not talking about right now is Yamamoto. And when I say we're not talking about it, as in that could literally happen on top of everything else that they've already done. And if you look at what some of the pricing is that it seems like it's going to be, you're talking about, let's see here, close to about $300 million is what they're saying the market could be for Yamamoto.
Wow.
Now, this is a question that I have, and I'm going to read a couple quotes here in just a second. If you're Yamamoto, and it's already been reported that Shohei Otani is helping with this pitch here. I mean, they had some kind of meeting a couple days ago at Dodger Stadium. Mookie Betts was there, Freddie Freeman was there, and so was Shohei Otani. If you're Yamamoto, it's interesting because I get it from both perspectives. Every big market is going after Yamamoto, partially because they didn't get Shohei Otani. So you got the Red Sox, the Yankees. Steve Cohen already flew out to Japan and had a meeting. All the big markets are going after him. So this is easily going to get driven up to the 250 to potentially 300 million. He's only 25 years old as well, so he's probably going to get close to a 10-year deal. If you're Yamamoto, do you want to join this just super team, the closest thing you could create to a super team in baseball that the Dodgers are building, or do you want to be on your own island? And again, let's use the New York Yankees as an example. Okay, it doesn't get much bigger than that brand. That's as big of a brand. I get to own my own market while Shohei Otani is owning his own market. Or, no, I'm interested in what the Dodgers are doing here, and I want to join it as well.
I mean, it's hard for me to say I know absolutely nothing about Yamamoto whatsoever, what his personality's like.
But just the scenarios that are playing out are fascinating to me.
It depends how much you want that spotlight on yourself. Like, how much does that actually matter to you? Because, even if you're a Yankee, to some degree, you get swallowed up by the brand of the Yankees. You know what I mean? It is really difficult to become bigger than that brand. So it's like if you join a brand that big, to some degree, some of your shine goes away anyway because the brand is bigger than you. But I would say, how much do you care about just the experience of winning or, trying to stack the odds of winning in your favor?
Sure.
Versus wanting to stand out in that winning process? Because there's more of a chance of being seen as just a really important spoke in the wheel with the Dodgers as opposed to maybe having more of that individual spotlight with the Yankees. But I feel like if you just care about what are my best odds to win, probably the Dodgers. Plus, you've got a guy that you are familiar with in Ohtani.
Sure.
And that can make your experience of assimilating to American culture, assimilating to a new city, whatever language barrier may exist. I don't know if it's the same way it is for Ohtani for Yamamoto.
But I know what you're saying. Is he going to be just in a more comfortable environment?
Right.
That's his guy. Those two, by the way, what's kind of crazy here is next year it would be Shohei could be your ace, and I'm just using this as an example. Yamamoto would be your 2, and then all the other
I'm going to say this right now. If those
Tyler
two
Glasnow potentially your 3. I haven't even said We'll see what happens with Clayton Kershaw. I haven't even said Bobby Miller's name yet. What happens with Walker Buehler and his decision? I haven't said Dustin May.
This is a truly inside baseball thing I'm about to bring up that I can promise you no fan listening gives a rat's ass about, and I don't blame them. But if Yamamoto ends up signing with the Dodgers on top of Ohtani, like I have covered the Dodgers before when Takashi Saito was with the team, and he had like 2 or 3 reporters just assigned to him. Like he was their beat.
Sure.
And they would be going to Saito after every game, whether Saito pitched or not, getting commentary from him because people in Japan care about Saito's career.
100%.
The contingency of Japanese media is already going to be huge for Ohtani. If you have Yamamoto and Ohtani on the same team, I'm not sure there's going to be enough room in the Dodgers clubhouse.
There already isn't.
For media. Like they might have to actually do some degree of like separate sessions just for the Japanese media. If you got both those guys in there on top of the media circus, it's just going to be for the English-speaking media and the Spanish-speaking media. Like it will be insane. It will be a logistical thing for the Dodgers to figure out.
Dave Roberts on Dan Patrick's show. Dodgers are absolutely having Shohei Otani recruit Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They do have a good relationship, so hopefully everything lines up and it would be quite the offseason. Roberts also said LA hosted him and thinks they did a really good job. I don't know if Yamamoto said, guys, please don't say anything. If he did, that's why Dave Roberts opened up so much about it. Okay?
I've got a theory. I think Ohtani was impressed by Roberts being the only manager in baseball with the stones to be like, yeah, I'll talk about the meeting.
Gutful.
What of it? Yeah.
As opposed to gutless.
He was the only one with guts. Everyone else was gutless.
Well, and everyone wanted to blame him, but obviously
also,
Shohei
how
already
ironic is it that the guy Ohtani that will not let us know anything about him at all.
Yep.
Like this press conference, he said nothing. That is the most open and transparent Ohtani's going to be for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Like that was him letting us in. That he's the recruiter to go get Yamamoto is kind of crazy.
What I thought was interesting too from yesterday from the press
Presser?
conference was that they interviewed both Dave and Friedman around it too, and I really don't think the scars are healed from Dave blabbing like he did about the Ohtani deal, because I think that Friedman really was frustrated, that really was scared that they might have lost it, and it seems that there might be some friction still. And Ohtani in his contract did not say, I want to stay and be with Dave Roberts. He wants to stay and be with Andrew Friedman and Mark Walter. And so it has a lot more to do with that. I think that there's still going to be tension going on this season.
Could be. To be honest with you, I think Dave Roberts he's been on the hot seat. He'll always be on the hot seat.
Yes.
And he's only more on the hot seat than just because they're signing who they signed. Can I just throw this out there too? I don't think this is going to happen. And I don't know how it works with Yamamoto's contract. What if he defers too? What if he says, hey, I'll take 20, but put 10 a year?
Okay.
Listen,
the Dodgers were like, okay, we're going to have to pay like billions of dollars after this?
I'm not going to lie.
But here's the thing. They're going to have to either way put every year they're going to have to put like in for Shohei, $44 million goes into an escrow account or whatever the case is. What if it doesn't stop and they just keep freaking getting more and more players?
Kicking the can down the road?
If that happens, like where all of a sudden you've got this situation where you're looking at like $75 to $80 million of deferred money well down the line to 2 players, I'm not accusing the Dodgers of anything. I want to see their books. Like I want to see where this money's coming from. Like that's a lot of money to be paying guys not to play baseball.
I know.
Like we're going to set this up so 10 years from now, like again,
Kershaw's probably going to end up signing next year and say, guys, I will take $180.
Yeah. Like I want to see how this money comes in. I want to see how it's tracked. I want to see how it's banked and logged. Like I'm not accusing anyone of anything.
Oh man.
I'm just saying I want to see it.
If he ends up signing with the Dodgers. Here's what's funny. The conversation was always
$200 micheladas.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming.
The conversation was always, they don't even have to do that. Like, they literally don't have to. Their TV deal is so insane. They're going to get,
This is stretching the limits of big TV deal. Like, again, if you start talking about this type of deferred money, you're starting to talk about like $100 million annually deferred well after guys aren't playing when you don't even know for sure what your next TV deal is and all that stuff. I want to see the accounting.
But I'm going to go back to this. That's why I think the Tyler Glasnow thing is interesting. 5 years, 125, 35, whatever we say, 135 million. That's not typically what they do. They're just literally
The Dodgers are going to somehow be under the luxury tax after just bringing in Otani's $700 million.
Have you guys ever seen
Yamamoto?
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Parks and Recreation, there's an episode where April believes that she's Ron's assistant and is trying to push all of his meetings to a date that doesn't exist. And so she says, okay, every meeting is going to be on March 31st, because she was under the impression that March only had 30 days. So she's like, oh, okay, I'll have this meeting on March 31st, et cetera, et cetera. And so then March 31st runs around, and Ron Swanson's like, I have 100 meetings today. So the Dodgers are putting all this money in the proverbial March 31st, hoping that it never comes around. But it's going to come around in 10 years and could be a joke.
I don't think business will be a problem. The money will be there. Listen, as much as the Shohei thing, like let's all be completely honest with each other. As phenomenal and unbelievable Shohei Otani is, business wins 10 times over on that $700 million deal.
Business.
I mean, someone explained to me how the dollars won't make sense for the Dodgers with the Shohei deal.
It's like getting LeBron. I mean, obviously the Lakers don't need any more help with marketing, but if LeBron went to the Timberwolves, that's just like an energy charge to your sales.
Yeah.
I just want to see.
You just want to see the books.
I want to see the book.
Like I
want to know even just how you plan for this.
Yeah.
Like this is a long-term plan for a lot of deferred money.
Yeah, I'm just waiting now for the Yamamoto. He deferred too. He's making he one-upped Shohei. He's actually making $1 million a year for 10 years.
I'm picturing Ohtani like,
and then Freddie's like, I want to redo my contract.
I'm picturing Ohtani every time he gets like a bank statement, he sees his direct deposit, he goes to the Dodgers like, I want to see your balance. I just want to see the balance. I want to see what's there. Then we can go on with the rest of our week. I want to see what's in there.
Venmo me, guys. Just Venmo me. All right, we come back. We got hot and cold. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
The
All right. So in the never-ending story of Ohtani and his dog, he was asked yesterday about what is the name of your dog? Because everyone was speculating it has something to do with the Dodgers, something to do with whatever other teams were in the mix or whatever. So then Ohtani said this. He says his dog's name is Decopin. Sorry, I might have said that wrong, but he said I figured Decopin would be hard for American people to pronounce. He did not reveal the name of his dog when he was accepting his MVP trophy. I find that to be a little suspicious. That decoy is just a little too perfect for the situation at hand. So we may not even know the real name of his dog still to this day. But he did say his dog's name translated is essentially like decoys or like flick in the forehead. It's kind of like the two translations that could come from Decopin.
Yeah, I was waiting for a couple follow-up questions from some of the hardcore journalists out there and saying, Shohei, we want the truth. We don't know if we don't believe you right now. We want to know what the real name is. I think you got a lot of people on pins and needles, and your dog is a good boy.
I cannot stress this enough.
Yeah.
Shohei spent that press conference saying absolutely nothing, being blatant about how he was saying nothing, and basically screwing with the media that waited like 2 hours to get in there, and that is the most you're going to get out of him in 10 years.
And hey, he can have his privacy. He can respect his privacy.
Ain't my
It's just
problem.
that it is so funny just because of all the mystery around him. All right, so I'm going to go to Who's Cold.
And now time for Who or What's Cold. How about the Giants?
Okay, so who or what is cold is the Giants, San Francisco Giants. So San Francisco Giants obviously did not get Ohtani, did not get Glasnow, did not get some people yet, but they did get Jung-Ho Lee, and he signed with the Giants, and they released this kind of graphic, like, welcome to the Giants, and the graphic is him in a uniform hitting it, and then the background is the stadium. But if you look at the graphic closely, the stats and the score of the game in that graphic has the Dodgers beating the Giants. It's like 6-5 in favor of the Dodgers. So of all the things,
this can't
why
be real.
would you
This
have this
cannot be
graphic
real.
with the Giants losing? That's insane to me. Was it a mistake? Do you think it was purposeful? Do you think that we're just getting got by the Twitter world?
No, I think, listen, 100% it's a mistake. It's just a mistake that you can't make. And it's not like it was the Pirates.
I know you and interns that run the boards, you have vendettas against them.
But think about that. It's not like it's a team that even just pick any team. If you pick any team in the American League, just make sure it's not against the Dodgers, which, by the way, a couple days ago, it was, I'm mispronouncing his name here,
Zaidi?
Zaidi.
Was just literally saying, yeah, we matched the Dodgers. It's just Ohtani, maybe geographic had something to do with it. You have so many ties against the Dodgers. Your graphic shows the Dodgers up in this game where you're envisioning your new player is going to play.
Speaking of ties against the Dodgers, what about the reports that Artie Moreno opted not to match the Angels' offer?
I'm trying to figure that one out.
I mean, there's a few ways this could be, I guess, interpreted or might be the real story. First, if it's coming from the Ohtani side and being pushed from the Ohtani side, I would imagine, and it's not true.
Wants to be a good guy.
Wants to be the good guy.
Yep.
Yeah, like he doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy, even though nobody's ever the bad guy for leaving the Angels. Like,
no,
it's impossible.
Actually, the only way he was a bad guy is if he stayed with the Angels. Yeah. I'm not kidding. Literally, every reporter out there is like, the only way fans potentially kind of turn on this guy is if he stays with the Angels. It's like, all right, well, you clearly don't care about winning.
If it's not true, I would imagine it's coming from the Ohtani side, and they're just trying to keep this guy from being unnecessarily painted as the villain. If it is true, particularly if it's coming from the Moreno side, my guess is either A, Moreno thought if they matched it, he would have still left.
Yeah.
And his ego was too big for being left at the altar. Like, he was not going to say yes. Mm-hmm. He's not going to propose and then have the significant other say no. Or Moreno decided, you know what? We had this guy for years. We never won anything. It's not worth $700 million.
Nothing would have been new there. It's really the new is what's going on with the Dodgers. Okay, Who's Hot and Who's Cold is brought to you by NextGen. NextGen, the official AC, heat, and plumbing company of SoCal sports fans. Call 833-3-NEXTGen or visit NextGen Air and plumbing.com. Rams got a game coming up this weekend, and you and I spent a little bit of time. Emily, feel free to grab or to get in on this one as well. We spent a little time just talking about, okay, yes, the Rams have kind of put themselves in this spot. They're 6-7 on the season. The Commanders coming up this weekend. Potential. Look, you win 3 of your last 4 games, and it's not crazy to think they could beat the Commanders, New Orleans, and New York, the Giants. However, it's also not crazy to go 2-1 and you don't make the playoffs because it is the NFL and you could lose any given week.
And you can still technically make it even if they don't. If they
depending on how some of the other
lose
teams
2
do.
of the next 4,
Yep.
it would not be easy. It's not even going to be easy if they win 3 of the next 4 because they have to rely on other people.
So this is what I would say is that if the Rams didn't make the playoffs, we're sitting here 6-7. At this stage, if I'd have told you before the season started the Rams didn't make the playoffs, it wouldn't be a surprise or a shock. You'd be like, yeah, they're not expected to make the playoffs. But now that they've got this far and they've competed with teams like Philly and competed with teams like Baltimore, probably should have beat the Ravens last week, and they've put themselves in a spot where they're this close to actually make that happen, what would you think? If they didn't make the playoffs, knowing now what you know, they're 6-7, you kind of have this thing in front of you. Yes, you need a little help, but not that much help to go make it happen.
And one more thing, too, just as a break for the Rams, Brian Robinson also will not play again this weekend. He's the Commanders' lead rusher. So they're out there, their lead rusher. They traded away 2 of their best defensive players. The Commanders you should definitely beat. But Andy.
For me, it depends a lot on the why and the specifics of how it didn't happen. Like, if they ultimately played pretty well over these games, but the rest of the league doesn't cooperate, when you take into account, I think they've played well for the majority of the season, or they certainly haven't played below reasonable expectations.
Yeah.
They've played good teams for the most part pretty tight. The only game where they really just imploded against quality competition was against
Cowboys.
Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Packers, too. If they didn't take the second string quarterback so not seriously, they could have actually had Carson Wentz maybe a week before, and maybe he could have beaten the Packers because the Packers looked like crap that game.
I am never feeling like anything with Carson Wentz is a sure thing.
Sure, but he would be better than Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon was absolute trash.
You're not wrong there, but let's say they even lost that game because it was a backup. They lost because it was a backup. Right? Even if they had a better backup.
I feel like this team has met reasonable expectations, and let's just say an unexpected opportunity is potentially in front of them with the playoffs, and for whatever reason, they play well over these remaining 4 games, but it just doesn't work out. It doesn't, to me, raise reasonable expectations for the season. I think the Rams have nothing to be ashamed about with this season. Nobody expected them to be a playoff team. If it turns out they're not a playoff team, it means they just rose to the level that everybody expected.
Can I play a scenario for you?
Sure.
Let's say things do line up their way. And all they got to do, let's say they take care of these next 2 games. Now they're, let's say they're 8-7.
Mm-hmm.
All you really got to do now is win 1 game on the road against the New York Giants. And if you beat the Giants, there's a good chance you're going to get into the playoffs. Things have lined up. Minnesota maybe dropped a game here. Green Bay has dropped a game here. I'm not even going to count that last Niners game because I don't know if Niners have already locked everything in.
That's what I was going to say. You should count it because there's a real opportunity or a real possibility that by then the Niners are just locked into a playoff spot. Can't go any higher, can't go any lower, and they sit a lot of guys. Rams could end up winning that game too.
So that one, I got to feel like, Jorge, you know the Niners more than anybody. I don't know if it could happen. The problem is in the NFC right now, Niners are 10-3, Cowboys are 10-3. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're up a game and literally that last game doesn't matter. And I think they already hold the tiebreaker over Dallas. So maybe that head-to-head is just it becomes irrelevant now. That Niner game could be something that comes into play, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make is you still got Matthew Stafford. You still got Cooper Kupp. Aaron Donald is there. Puka's a stud. Sean McVay is the coach that we all look at and say, okay, Sean McVay clearly knows what he's doing. If they get to that stage where it's like their postseason is that close, and these are guys that have done it before, and this is a coach that's been in this position before, I think there definitely would be disappointment that Especially if they're the team that lost, it was all in their hands.
There's a difference between disappointment in the sense of, oh, that sucks. It would have been great to see them in the playoffs. We're close.
And expectation.
Well, and disappointment where you're mad.
Yeah, or like failure.
Right.
Like this season is not a failure. It
not
is a
failure.
success.
I agree with that.
How well they played and the players that they have developed and that you can see how good they're playing.
Not all disappointment is created equally.
Exactly. I think that it would be almost like it would be frustrating maybe because there's so many games that we're so close to winning that maybe luck didn't go their way, but they do have 2 wins that luck did go their way.
Look, they played hard this year.
And they've had things kind of work their way over these last few weeks, right? That
I don't think it's like working their way. They just played
the Seahawks game. Geno Smith was out. That's how they won that game.
And the missed field goal.
And the missed field goal. And then things kind of started. The Browns were not healthy against the Rams. But they were not healthy.
Myles Garrett played.
Yes.
So you have to, and he had no touches. The Rams outplayed the Browns, outplayed the Cardinals. I think that even if the Browns were completely healthy, they would have still beaten the Browns.
Here's the reason why I would not, if I'm a Rams fan, why I would maybe be disappointed if they don't end up being able to pull out a playoff spot, but I wouldn't be mad. There was a point where this team was 3-6,
sure,
and they were a team that had no expectations
and
coming into the year.
Stop trying to win.
Right.
Go get a pick.
They could have easily just laid down, and they did the exact opposite. As a fan, that you can't ask for any more than that.
But can we please, just for the sake of football, instead of putting the freaking anybody from the NFC South, just put the Rams in. We want to see them more than we want to see whatever crappy NFC South team comes out of there. Because I'd rather see the Rams over the Buccaneers. I don't want to see Baker Mayfield lose big in their first playoff game.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about it. I hate when teams have better records and then they don't get in. Or I'm with
Divisions
you on
are they're kind of outdated.
I agree with that.
No, honestly.
Literally in the NBA, it means nothing anymore.
Kind of an outdated concept.
And to have somebody, what year was it? Was it in Seattle that got in and they were 7-9 or something
and
like that?
there's sometimes been NFC East teams that have gotten in below 500.
I hate seeing that.
It's so annoying because you clearly don't. You have to be above 500 in order to get a playoff spot. It just should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't agree.
That's
with that.
not a bad idea.
All right, we got the dump coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, AK in the house, 710 ESPN. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Let me tell you guys a little bit about it. Travis and I talk about it all the time. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just got to pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. So I'm taking a look right now, seeing some of these games coming up in the NBA. Victor Wembanyama. Lakers obviously got the Spurs a little bit later today. 21 points. Seems low. I'm going to go more than for Victor Wembanyama, who dropped 30 on the Lakers in that last contest. Kevin Durant. This one's a little bit different. This one is rebounds plus assists. 11. More than or less than. Rebounds and assists totaling 11. I'm going to go more than. So I got Wembanyama more. I got KD more. Here's the best part about Prize Picks. Make your picks, submit it in about 60 seconds, so it literally takes no time. 710 has a great incentive for those that are just signing up. Go to prizepicks.com/710. Use that code 710 for a first deposit match of up to $100. It's prizepicks.com/710. Use that code 710 for a first deposit match of up to $100. Alan.
Elevate your game at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Sunday for their live Rams postgame show from the Rays Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and interact with Travis and Kirk. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Reminder, party, oh party, Sunday after the game. Come see Travis and Kirk and enjoy a postgame meal and drink at the Rays Lounge right after Rams football is done. Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets?
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the 5th row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game for free.
Okay, I think what better way to start the dump when it's holiday season. Yesterday we did our draft. We had our Christmas songs on there. Everybody's probably out shopping around right now. You're going to a holiday party this weekend. On this day in 1968, Philadelphia Eagle fans threw snowballs at Santa. What do you think there? What do you think there?
It's so Philadelphia.
I mean, and it's almost like we have accepted it. It's not a big deal because...
What was Santa doing? He probably asked for it. He wanted to get hit by a snowball somehow. He probably antagonized the Eagles
gotta be
fans
honest,
a little bit.
that question is not asked enough, what Emily just did right there. She's saying, well, there's always 2 sides to a story here. Philly fans have their side, or the only side that we have is Santa's side.
Are you suggesting that Santa knows what he did?
Well, yeah, exactly. He might have said that Sheetz is better than Wawa. He might have said that you can't get water ice in Philly anywhere.
He ordered wit, not without?
Yeah, exactly. So there could have been things that he could have been asking for trouble, and if you mess around and you find out. So Santa found out really quickly.
All right, if there's one stadium, if you're going to go rock an opposing team's hat, let's say, is it a Philly game that you're least look? I've walked into Dodger Stadium and I've had a Padre hat, but it's not like the Padres have 7 World Series stacked up, and it's much different if it's a Giants hat.
Giants feels much more dangerous.
Much more dangerous.
That's
right?
much more dangerous.
I'm trying to think like
Lakers jersey to the Celtics. It's Boston. Lakers jersey to Boston.
I've done that. I'll tell a quick story.
You've done that?
I've done that.
Oh.
So this was back in probably about 10 years ago, something like that. Mark Cates, who's on the other side, has MC marketing
award-winning
coordinator.
MC.
He's basically been here for over 15 years. Him and I took some clients to a Lakers-Knicks game and a Lakers-Celtics game. I wore my Magic Johnson purple road jersey to the Garden, and I kind of just let it be. 95% of the fans there, it's a cool jersey, man. Couple guys wouldn't stop turning around and giving me the bird, and every time something happened, was doing what they were doing. So I had one of those.
I misunderstood you for a second. I thought you meant you wore Celtics gear into a Laker game.
No.
That's why I was like, why?
Wore my Laker gear in Boston.
I think the most dangerous thing to do, I mean, unfortunately, we've seen that stuff can get very, very out of hand with Giants and Dodgers fans. I feel also like wearing opposing gear or rival gear to a Raider game.
Yeah.
That taking a risk.
So I think what the funniest thing about Eagles fans in general, I lived in Philadelphia for like 6 months, so wasn't a long time, but I got the vibe of the city. But every time the Eagles or the Phillies or the Flyers, whomever is in the postseason, it's always so funny when they do kind of like the man on the street interviews with people. They so this is one man on the street. I believe this was for the Eagles.
It's nice to be back with the tailgate friends. It's nice to be back with the tailgate boys again.
Yeah, nice to be back with the tailgate boys again. But they also get the people that are so mad, like after the Phillies didn't do very well with their, I want to say it was NLCS this year. It's just like,
against Arizona.
Fire everybody, get them out of the building. They are the most fired up fans.
Actually, I think there's a hat that would do worse at Dodger Stadium. I think if you walked in with an Astros hat today, it would be worse than I think a Giants. Because the Astros literally stole World Series.
You can at least respect the Giants, like as an organization, even if you hate them as a Dodger fan.
You can say, hey, that's a rivalry. Give them, they're
World Series. They're clearly well run. They've had success. Like it's hard to call the Giants a bunch of frauds or whatever.
Astros is a different one.
Yeah.
That would be the one.
And they took something from you through ill-gotten means.
Yeah.
Every time the Giants have beaten the Dodgers in a series or whatever.
Yeah.
Artfully said.
It's a battle.
Yeah.
It's like,
real.
it's mano a mano, let the best man win, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
You said something about going to a Raider, wearing opposing gear at a Raider home game.
I
could go a step further. I used to wear Charger gear in San Diego because it was the San Diego Chargers. And Raider fans there were like, nah, you can't wear that here. I don't know if I understand. I always tell Trav this story here. One time I was trying to park, me and a buddy of mine. I'm wearing like a Chargers jacket, my hat, whatever, and parking at Qualcomm Stadium. Okay, wherever you can find a spot, just find a spot. And I pull into a section. It's like a Raider section, and just a guy comes up, front of my car. He's like, "No, not here." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, I put my window down. At that time, it was my Nissan Frontier, so I'm going like this, right? I'm rolling my window down. He's like, "Yeah, you can't park here. Raider fans only." I'm like, no problem. I just pulled out, went all the way. Even though I'm in San Diego, California, it was like, no, it was basically a Raider home game. Okay, part of the other trade that we didn't really talk about, Manuel Margot from the Rays is part of this deal. Em just put these stats up here. Sounds like he likes playing at Dodger Stadium. He's hit 6 home runs at Dodger Stadium, his third most of any ballpark in his career, trailing only 2 home stadiums, Petco Park and Tropicana Field. Most home runs by stadium, Manuel Margot's got 6 at Dodger Stadium, 7 at Tropicana Field, and apparently he's Babe Ruth at Petco Park. He's 15 at Petco Park.
But also 6 in 25 games, too. It's like, so the other ones...
Oh, that's right, 215 games.
So Petco Park, he's played 215 games, he's hit 15 home runs. Tropicana Field, he's played in 176 games and hit 7 home runs. Dodger Stadium, he's played 25 games and he's hit 6 home runs. That means that he must love hitting here.
Okay, Mace is the perfect one to ask because Mace will go to plenty of Dodger games. He obviously is very passionate about the Los Angeles Dodgers. What would anger you more? You're at Dodger Stadium.
Yes.
You're sitting in your seat, just trying to enjoy a game.
Yes.
You just ordered a hot dog, some peanuts. You got a beer coming and everything else.
Nice.
Somebody walks.
Helmet nachos? I got to have the helmet nachos.
You didn't have them because since they signed Shohei, that price went a little high. So you were not excited about
$200
investing.
nachos.
$200 nachos.
Budget, yes.
Not in your budget. Somebody walks by with a Giants hat.
Okay.
Are you angry?
No.
Okay.
Are they playing the Giants?
They are. Yes, they're playing the Giants.
Yeah, you can wear.
Okay.
I want to live in a world where it's okay to wear.
By the way, you're 100% right. 100% right. They're not playing the Giants. There's 2 guys that walk. They're playing Tampa. It doesn't matter who they're playing.
Okay, so this is just 2 rando guys wearing Giants hats?
One guy walks around with a Giants hat. The other guy walks around with an Astros hat. Who do you hate more?
Astros guy.
I think we're right here.
Astros guy stole
It's gotta,
World Series.
You can at least
2017.
respect the Giants as an organization, even if you don't like them.
Correct.
The
Solid
Astros
organization. Astros stole our World Series.
Cappy in the house?
I'm here.
Cappy,
I am here.
What's up, Cappy?
Mace, you just cracked me up. First of all, you are owning this whole Shannon Sharp cardigan sweater thing.
It's killing it.
Okay?
Killing the game.
I honestly, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous. I want these sweaters.
Well, they're from my designer, Amazon. They have beautiful stuff there.
Yep, exclusive. They do exclusive stuff.
I believe this is actually Amazon brand.
Ooh.
Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice
They
piece.
have a brand.
You can do this, man. Yeah, they have their own brand. I think they call it Amazon Essentials.
Wow.
I believe that's the name.
Tell you what, man, it's a nice piece.
Thank you, man.
It helps to know Amazon. It really
does.
helps to know
It
him,
helps
though.
to know the designer.
Cap, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's Friday, and because of the Laker game, we got a combo plate, which is good and bad. It's good because it gets me out early. It's Friday, man. I want to get out and enjoy some of this sunshine. It's like, and here's the thing. I don't know about you guys. I'm in holiday party mode.
Oh, really? There are not as many holiday parties this year.
This
Oh, my
guy's
God.
got
Have you been to a lot?
AK's got 2
I
this
have
weekend.
potentially 2, definitely 1 this weekend.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Mace, I got holiday party this afternoon.
Yep.
This was my my divorce attorney's, it's his law firm.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm practically putting on a party for a couple hundred people here this afternoon.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Now,
You funded this party?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, right? And then tomorrow I got the Parkers party.
Oh, the Parkers. What
Right.
about the Mitchells?
The
Are
Mitchells-
the Mitchells doing a party this year?
The Mitchells are on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But Andy, you'll love this. My family has turned it into a tradition now. This is year 2 coming up, so it's a tradition. Christmas Eve, Disneyland.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Now, is Disneyland crowded on Christmas
I
Eve?
gotta imagine it's empty.
It's not terribly crowded, but you see, now that all 4 of my kids are like young adults,
right?
We don't wait in the lines anymore. We go to the individual fill-in person line. You know what that is, Mace?
I
Single
don't
rider.
have
You're
the-
not with the group, I guess.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So you break
Yeah.
up and you ride individually. So
Single rider.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Thank you, Jorge.
That makes sense. That makes
Single
sense.
rider. And so now we don't care. We get to we'll try and set a record next year or this Christmas. You know, I think we did 14 or 15 rides last year. We're going to try and break that record.
Now, you know what we do on Christmas Eve?
No, tell me.
Feast of the Seven Fishes. Do you
Oh,
know
right,
Feast
of
of the
course.
Seven Fishes?
You've explained this to me before.
Yeah, so the idea is that, and this is, I grew up with this. By the way, some people, Ireland does not believe this is even a thing. And there's actually a movie on Netflix called Feast of the Seven
Remember this
Fishes.
came up in The Bear.
But before
In The
you,
Bear, right.
Mace, but before you do it,
Yeah.
Jorge's telling us to do something. What do you think he's telling us to do?
Let's see. Is it Super Crosstalk?
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles.
KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM, Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk. Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super
Combo plate. I love these.
Well, combo plate, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Feast of
completely
Seven
interrupted.
Fishes.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Mace,
yeah.
Mace, are Yins Italian?
Jens, yeah. We're Italian, and we have the Feast of Seven Fishes.
Well, yeah, because that's what I think of. I think of this as being like a very Italian, Midwestern sort of thing. Am I
It is
wrong?
also a big Yinzer thing.
Yeah, big Yinzer thing.
Yin's going down the basement eating the seafood.
Right, Yin's going to red up down there now.
Red up down there. Exactly. So, yeah, you have...
Andy and Sliwa were like, what are you two doing?
Whatever it is,
Well,
it sounds good.
I mean, I
sounds
am
amazing.
Cappy, I'm alienated by this on many levels, as you know. Like, there's so much about the Feast of the Seven Fishes that I just don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
same.
so the idea is that you find a way to eat 7 fishes on the night of the 7 fishes, Christmas Eve. And so you generally, shrimp is always there. Cod is a really big one.
Okay.
Cod is salted cod. They call that bacala.
Bacala.
My grandmother would make eel. We don't do that anymore.
Okay.
But it's super creepy, but we would have eel.
That is a very acquired taste.
Octopus,
I
squid,
love octopus.
Scallops.
anchovies, scallops,
Okay.
shrimp. I mean, on and on. We do
Calamari. Can we do some calamari? Okay, good.
Absolutely.
But, like, it's got to be 7 different dishes, correct?
7
Like,
different dishes.
You can't just cheat and make, like, a ceviche.
Hey, here's Chiappino. Let's go.
That's a good question, Andy. Andy, that's a solid question.
Yeah.
Could you
He's a journalist.
make a ceviche and just have it all in
seafood
one spoon?
gumbo.
Yeah.
Have all 7
Yeah.
fishes in one
Has anybody
ceviche.
thought about that?
No, but that's a really nice shortcut.
It
Mace,
really
It's
is.
going to save
Mace-
a lot of time.
Point of information.
Yes, point away.
Is shrimp a fish?
Yes, we count it as fish.
Okay, so like an eel is a fish.
That is correct.
Yes.
And a scallop is a fish?
A scallop is loosely defined as a fish. I
And an
guess
octopus.
it's the night of 7 seafoods if you want to be really specific about it.
Okay, because I think it's kind of going against the spirit of the holiday myself.
Imitation crab.
Imitation crab is really good. Do they still make imitation crab?
Yeah, it is, but
I think they
technically
do, yeah.
that's just pollock, which is a fish.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm pretty
that
sure
counts.
most
We're hitting
imitation crab
everything.
is pollock.
These are fair questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you thought those questions were coming in, but I
No,
feel like we got a
did
much
not-
better idea.
Did not think the imitation crab.
But it all goes back to holiday parties.
Oh, right. That's where we started. Sure.
So I got holiday parties, and then next week, Mace.
Yeah.
I'm so into the holiday spirit right now. I'm feeling it. I've got a holiday lunch on Monday.
Nice.
I've got one on Tuesday.
Wow.
I've got one on Wednesday.
Damn.
I mean, every day next week is booked with like holiday stuff.
Yeah, see, we have the Harris's party on Saturday night.
Oh, the Harrises are lovely.
They Susan, Dennis, that whole crowd.
Dennis is such a good dude.
Dennis is
such a good dude.
He's a great guy.
I don't know.
The whole family, Bailey and Lindsay and baby Donna.
Cap and Dennis don't get along. That's
It's not,
what's crazy to me.
Slee, it's just that we had that thing that time.
No, I know.
That time with the place.
With the
we
place
had that
where you did the thing.
That time. And,
It got ugly. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen Cap that angry.
Yeah. But I think, as far as Dennis goes, we can move on as far as I'm concerned.
Great guy. So, Slee, what about you? Holiday parties? You doing that whole holiday party thing?
So closer to...
You want to come over to the Harris's Saturday night,
well,
tomorrow night?
he texted me.
Oh,
did Dennis text you?
Yeah, he did.
Dennis
he texted
texted you.
Me, but I
Is that
said,
right?
if Cap's not going, I'm not going.
Right, because they had
I
that falling
can't
out.
believe he would text you knowing the background.
Well, I drove Cap that night, so I felt responsible.
Right, you were in the
So
middle
now
of it.
you want me to go to Dennis's house without Cap? That's not happening.
Not cool at all. In fact, you know what? I'll tell you something right now.
By the way, the Harrises are listening right now, and they probably think this is the funniest damn thing.
Bros
I gotta
before
tell you something.
Harris's is what
Dennis,
you're saying right now.
it was
His
not-
listeners like, what did Cap do?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's not cool. I mean, it's, to go directly to you, Slee, behind my back by Dennis.
Yeah. Not
Don't
good.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
The enemies list: Joe Fortenbaugh and Dennis Harris.
I was going to say, Cappy just left and right. That list keeps increasing.
No, everybody loves Cappy.
Dennis Harris is now pissed.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's probably a little pissed.
All right, AK is trying to break down the Dodgers payroll. And,
Oh, yeah.
And he feels like there's something, if we're going to stay with this, the seven fishes, something fishy going on with the Dodgers.
What's fishy?
I just want to see the books.
Why?
Because the idea of all of this deferred money, and really this started coming to me when we were talking about Yamamoto.
Yes.
And Alan raised the question of, because that's going to be another expensive deal, whoever ends up
Probably
with Yamamoto.
30 a year, 25 to 30 a year.
and probably 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Glasnow is going to get $27.5 million, right?
They've just brought in Glasnow, and Alan brought up the idea of what if Yamamoto, because he and Ohtani have this relationship,
Right.
Ohtani's been recruiting him, what if Yamamoto also deferred some of that money?
What if he just
This is
says,
a great
keep
idea.
going, keep going, get
to
more?
which
Yoshinobu, let's go. Let's
Okay.
defer.
At that
And
point,
then this
I need to
started.
see the books.
Why?
Because I need to know how you're going to be able to manage, like, anywhere from, in this scenario, $70 to $100 million of deferred money to players who aren't even playing baseball
Okay,
anymore.
Can I just point something out?
What's so hard to understand here?
So even though he's only getting $2 million this year, because they amortize it or do some fancy formula, it's going to count for 44 against the cap. And by the way, and then on the other side of it, when they start getting the money back, it'll only count as $35 million a year.
I'm not talking about how this affects the cap.
Oh.
I mean, I want to see the books just to figure out how you are projecting out like $70 to $100 million of
Dodgers,
theoretical money.
He thinks
like
the
a Ponzi
Dodgers
game?
have an
I'm
auto
not saying
shop.
that there's a shell organization
Like a
involved
Ponzi scheme,
that I just want to see how this. I'll sign an NDA. I'm not going to say. I just want to know, how do you plan for this?
He
moving
thinks
forward?
Freddie Freeman has a laundromat that like all this stuff is going.
Don't
through.
say any names. Don't say
car
any
wash.
names. That's how you end up.
Mookie's Car Wash.
Mookie's Car Wash.
These guys
Wait,
all
is
are
this-
involved with cash-heavy organizations.
Yes, the money's very clean, is what
Like
you're
all of a
saying.
sudden next year, like instead of taking credit cards, like all cash concessions.
Yes.
Everything has to be. They
Sure.
don't accept any Venmo. They don't accept any cards.
Boy,
all
Wants to see the
cash.
Cap.
So,
He wants
Andy-
to see the books.
I know, but Andy, are you genuinely curious? Like, gosh, I have to know, how did they possibly do this? Or are you super cynical, like they're doing something dirty? I want those books, and I want to find it.
Here's what
Which
it is,
side are
Cappy.
you on here?
I want to see the books so I don't have to wonder whether anything is going on. Because that think about it. That is crazy, the idea of how much potential money is being allotted down the line.
Right.
When you don't truly know where your finances are. You can project everything, but you don't know. And again, I want to make it clear just so people understand.
I think they'll pay the $700 by the time this year is done.
I'm not actually accusing anyone. I'm genuinely curious. How do you go about projecting money at that type of scale? Because, I mean, we celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day
Sure.
like it's some big thing. That's
Every
like a
July 1.
Really, you
Right.
celebrate that day? I don't really find myself.
Yeah, no,
celebrating that
I
day.
send out cards.
You do?
Yeah, I send out a Bobby Bonilla Day card.
Absolutely, for those who
Dennis
celebrate.
sent me a
Oh,
card.
no, Dennis did send
Dennis sent you a card
for
Bonilla
Bobby
Day.
for
Bonilla
Bonilla Day.
For
Boy,
Bonilla
I
Day.
tell you what, this guy Dennis, he got some set of you know what. This guy got a set of cool yawns. I'll tell you that.
Well,
right now.
I mean, he hangs out with Fortenborough.
Yeah, yes, he does. So here's the
wow.
thing. Andy, I understand you're concerned about the books and all that stuff. I would like to point out that Mark Walter, who runs the Guggenheim Group, is himself worth $5.8 billion. I'm not too worried.
I just want to know how this works.
Andy, supposedly.
Right.
5.8.
How much of that money's deferred
needs to see
that
the
he's
books.
worth?
Andy needs to see the books on his.
I want to
his
see
wealth.
the books.
Hey, Cap, how much of the worst kept secret that Staley was going to get fired this morning was this morning?
Wow. I mean, my phone started buzzing at about 9:30 with people celebrating.
Mine started buzzing last night about halftime.
Yeah, I know. I was saying we were at Yamava yesterday, Slee, and I'm like, why not fire him now? And you know that DeMarco was like, no, you don't fire him now. I'm like, why not? Like say to the world, this team against the Raiders, who were scoreless last week.
Yep.
Didn't score a point.
On Thursday Night Football on national television.
Yep.
At halftime, it's 42-0.
God, can you imagine?
Fire him at halftime and make a statement that this doesn't work for us.
So you would just elevate somebody at halftime of the game last night.
Yeah, Coach Giff.
Coach Giff.
Yeah.
Right?
Coach Giff.
I thought, by the way, I thought it was going to be Kellen Moore.
Well, I think everybody,
everybody
thought that he
yeah.
was like the head coach next. He was going to have the next shot. But instead of going to their offensive coordinator or their defensive coordinator, they went to their outside linebackers coach.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What I would have done is this. I'd have handed it off to Justin Herbert. Said, listen, you coach for the next couple of weeks. You know, we're paying you a fortune. You can't play. You coach.
You know what I want to know? And obviously this team quit on Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
That
You
was
think?
really clear.
You think?
But last night, you know, when that defensive lineman for the Raiders went rumbling down the field and scored that touchdown, there was nobody chasing him.
No, they're like, let him go.
It was an embarrassment. I wonder where like the pride is. Where's the pride?
No
They actually
pride.
don't
Brought
try
that
to
up
chase that guy down.
At halftime, remember you were talking about Staley said we got to show some pride in the second half, like basically saying, "Hey, look, the game's over."
Yeah.
So hopefully there's a little bit of effort left, but it's kind of.
But I mean, that guy ran like an 11-second 40, and they could not catch him.
Right,
last
but
night.
here's the thing. Big dude,
Yeah.
tackling him could hurt.
Oh, so it's business decision?
It's a business decision to some degree. It is.
There was a moment after the game when Staley's
trying to
doing
keep the
his-
game within 56 or something.
Yeah,
Who cares?
yeah.
After the game, Staley's doing his presser. I actually genuinely was like, I feel bad for this guy.
Really?
The fact, and I'll tell you why, Cappy. It's not that Staley shouldn't have been fired a lot earlier. It's not that Staley's not a head coach. Of course, clearly the guy should not be a head coach in the NFL.
Yes.
It's Dean is dumb enough to bring him back, and also dumb enough to keep him there that it almost churned on me to where it's like, somebody please take this guy off of the podium. The guy should have been fired 4 or 5 weeks ago.
That was a really rough post-game session.
Mm-hmm.
But that's on Dean. That's not. I mean,
Well-
Staley's not a good coach, but Dean's the one putting him there.
Yeah, and it was great last night. And Slee, I'm assuming that you're sort of celebrating the fact that the Chargers have become yet again a national laughingstock.
Probably nothing I enjoy more at this stage of my life in the world of sports than seeing the Chargers lose. So
Yeah.
I by the way,
it's not healthy.
Our brother in
completely-
saltiness. I love Slee.
Get it. Completely get it. If my team had up and left, I'd be like, screw you too.
Yeah, I was that way for years with the now Arizona Cardinals. When they left
that's
St.
right.
Louis, I was bitter for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just me here. I don't think LA really cares
No,
that
nobody
much
in LA
about
cares.
the Chargers.
Doesn't
So-
give
Dude,
a damn.
listen, you go to the LA Times today, there's a picture on the front page of the sports section, which is Telesco, the GM who was just fired,
Yep.
and Staley, the head coach who was just fired. And I would think that 9 out of 10 people might pick up that paper, and I don't mean pick it up physically, but go onto their website and go,
Yeah.
who are those two characters?
Yeah.
Because in the sports scene of LA, that's not the GM of the Lakers.
Yes, screenshot that because it's going to be gone in half an hour.
Yeah.
And then the Chargers will go back to not having any news at all.
Total obscurity.
What are you guys doing today?
Well, it's going to be weird. It's a combo plate, so it's me and Cappy. Bergman took the afternoon off.
He's not feeling
went,
well.
Went home not feeling well. So Emily is going to stick
jumping in. Look at him jumping
She's
in.
about
Emily,
to
was he
roar.
puking? Was Bergie puking?
No, he just did not look. He looked worse for wear, for sure.
Yeah.
He really didn't look so good, huh?
Yeah, you look at his face. It's just like, yeah, you should go home.
Yeah, and
Really?
producer Brian's here, and we're going to screw around for a couple hours, and then we got Lakers basketball, but we're giving away Fifth Row Fridays today.
that.
Matthew Berry's coming on for
Yep.
some talented Mr. Roto action. All the usual stuff. We're going to do Radio Tinder.
All right, great.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Is Dennis coming on, or he's not
Dennis
coming on?
refuses to come on the show when Cappy is here.
Dennis doesn't want to come on.
Nope, will not come
Well,
on.
Tell you what, he's picked the right day to not come on because I am feeling prickly today.
Oh, good.
All right, there you
Very
go.
prickly.
All right, Super Crosstalk is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger, that's what a hamburger is all about. Mason Cappy coming up next.
All right, hey, before we hit this break, I want to talk to everybody about the
I'll tell
2023
you what, that was
16th annual Share the Love event that's happening right now, and it goes on from now through January 2nd. This is Subaru, and look, I've said it many, many times. A lot of love goes into a Subaru, but a lot comes out too, and here's what I mean by that. By the end of this year, Subaru and all of the retailers will have donated over $285 million to charities. And when you buy or lease a new Subaru right now, we will donate $250 to the charity of your choice. Could be the ASPCA, Make-A-Wish, Meals on Wheels, the National Park Foundation. But here's the best part. The local retailers are also helping local charities. So when you buy or lease that new Subaru, you are making impact in your community. So visit a Subaru retailer today. Go to Subaru.com to find the closest one. And you too, everybody, can help share the love. Combo plate, let's go.
The 12 days of 710.